listening to a very special edition of CBS Sports Golazo Match Day. We are an hour away from the 2026 FIFA World Cup draw that's taking place in Washington, D.C. today as the World Cup gets underway in 188 days. It's so good to have you with us. I'm Poppy Miller alongside Nigel-Reo Coker, Nico Cantor, Mike Grella, Troy Deeney. Grell, we're going to be on for 3 hours. Are you ready?
What are we going to talk about for 3 hours? It was my first question. I can't wait, to be honest. I fell in love with this game through the World Cup. I think it brings people that are neutrals into the game, and it's the most exciting time of the year when the World Cup comes, especially when it comes to the United States. Last time I was here in 1994, obviously North America this time.
Right.
But special moments about to happen. This is like the first big event that I think is going to be really exciting to lead into this major event.
It's so true, Nige, because we've felt the build-up for a while now, but today feels like the first real marker, doesn't it, to now count down to it all kicking off in the summer?
Yeah, it's the most exciting part. And like Grella said, I think when you look at football, for me, football is the biggest game in the world. And nothing really puts football on the mantelpiece like a World Cup, because Grella makes a great point. This is when the neutral fans are really caught and will watch football because of the World Cup. It's the biggest sporting event in the world. There's nothing that can compete with this. I'm so excited. And there's so many great stories already going into this World Cup, which makes it fascinating to see. And obviously shared between America, Canada and Mexico, which is going to be very interesting. And I'm excited because it just brings back memories of me watching the Ronaldo, the R9, playing his World Cups. And that was 94 as well when he played in America, and just watching that phenom getting me on the edge of my seats and just love the game of football.
Everyone has those special World Cup stories, don't they? Troy, you're here in America in the nick of time now for it to be on home soil for you.
Some would say it was planned. That's what some would say. I was thinking about
Was it planned?
No, absolutely not. I just wing it, and that's my life, isn't it? But no, I'm really excited about this. Me and Nico did Morning Footy yesterday, had a real big show on it. Again, for Argentina, and he has reminded me that they have won it more than England, and they've won it more recently. So it's been great to talk about that. But I feel like the buzz of it being in America just gives it something different. The gravitas. Again, we've seen the presidents there. There's just so many different things that come to an American World Cup as opposed to it being anywhere else.
Nico, how many times are you going to mention Argentina today, do you think?
Well, it's the last couple of months that Argentina has as World Cup champions. You got to mention them, and the greatest player of all time. We still don't know if he's going to be playing at the World Cup. He's left it extremely ambiguous, especially in the last interview that he gave to an outlet in Argentina. Regardless, though, it's obviously not just the story of Argentina. It's the story of so many national teams where your fate begins today. Your pathway and your future is decided by somebody pulling one random ball, showing it to the world. And for the players who know that they're going for the World Cup, perhaps some fringe players that are looking to get onto the squad, they have a tangible target looking forward for the summer coming around the corner.
It's so true. I can tell that you're excited, Nico, because you're dressed up, you've got your tie on. What happened to you today, Grell? 50 Shades of Blue, no tie. So did the World Cup draw, though, right?
Could have made an effort.
It's actually nuts. I was specifically told not to wear a tie today, so I wore something.
Grella, can I ask you a question? When do you do what you are told?
Yeah,
that's
so
the interesting part, because you never do what you're told.
You get yelled at when you don't follow instructions. You get yelled at when you do follow instructions. So I don't know what to tell you anymore, Pop.
I'm just saying that side there is the naughty boy side, because they could have made more of an effort. You know, it's a World Cup draw. Here we go.
Have you ever swore?
I never swore on national TV. Only one of us here has.
That's completely irrelevant.
This guy goes by the...
Completely irrelevant, Poppy.
He goes to sleep with a tie on, this guy. Remember when he's traveling from here to go to do the Champions League show, he had a tie on in the plane? I mean, I'm not that level.
He took one outfit to London for national TV to fly in and to fly back. He wore it all 3 days.
Class is permanent, Poppy. Class is permanent.
Well, we are live on YouTube today, so maybe we can get some polls. Last time we were on YouTube, it was about should Nigel be sacked or not. Hopefully it's not down the same road again today. Lots of polls coming up, though. But before we get to that, let's have a look at how this all works, because this is the biggest World Cup yet, isn't it? It's an expanded field, it's an expanded format. 48 teams we're going to see, and those nations will eventually be divided into 12 groups of 4. That's what we're going to see today. We already do have those 48 teams, though, that have been split into 4 pots based on their latest FIFA rankings. Let's have a look at some of the seeds, though, because we've got Spain, Argentina, France and England. They've got the highest this FIFA rankings, they'll all be split up so that if they win their groups or all finish second, they won't see each other then again until the semi-finals. With 16 nations out of the 48, UEFA is the only confederation that can have more than one country in a group. There are still 6 spots up for grabs, though. UEFA and the Interconfederation Playoffs will take place in March. And even though the draw is today, we are not done yet. We'll know all of the groups, but we're going to have to wait until this weekend, until Saturday, when we find out the teams' schedules. And we're going to have you covered for that on Saturday here on Golazo Matchday, 12 o'clock Eastern. All the World Cup reaction is coming your way, both on the Golazo Network and on YouTube. So, Nico, we're going to find out a lot today, but we're still going to have to wait until those specific matches are kind of set, right?
Yes. Tomorrow the schedule comes out. The only place that we'll know exactly where teams are going to play are for the host nations. Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. We know that the U.S. is going to be drawn into Group D. Mexico and Canada will be drawn into their respective groups, and we'll know, for example, the pot 3 team that Mexico draws will be the opening match of the FIFA World Cup in Estadio Azteca in Mexico City. So only for the host nations will we know where they're going to play, when they're going to play, just the exact timing. Everything will be out in a schedule for Saturday. There's a template set, and it's just a matter of crossing your T's and dotting your I's for everything to be ready on Saturday.
So obviously that's going to be in Mexico, the opening match. But World Cup final, Grella, this summer is going to be in the US, in your back garden as well at MetLife. How excited are you that you get the final so close to New York?
Amazing. Don't judge a book by its cover either, because if you go there now, it's kind of like, oh, there's nothing around it. And it's like, whoa, this is where the World Cup final is going to be. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be rocking. I've watched some fantastic games there. I've played some games there as well. It's a really special place, a special stadium as well, and it's a special part of the world. Like Northeasterners in this country are great characters, right? They go through all 4 seasons, blue collar, tough people. Really, is a lot of it's a big melting pot in this part of the world as well. So it's going to be an incredible stadium, incredible venue for it, just outside one of the biggest cities in the world. So can't wait for it.
Also, we've had the Club World Cup final was there as well, not too long ago. So used to handling big occasions, having loads of people come. I obviously got to work that, so it was really, really enjoyable. And yeah, you can bring your kids, and it's going to be a great occasion.
And before that Copa America final, and before that Meadowlands, not in the same stadium, New York Cosmos would play in the Meadowlands. It's a location with a lot of history. So maybe we're thinking that it's a new modern place for football, but that's not true. Meadowlands and New York has a lot of football history. We're
going to see everybody here in New York, aren't we? Especially, obviously, as the competition progresses. We are live on YouTube. We got our first comment back-to-back. Argentina will win. Trust me. Are you putting this on yourself, Nico? Have you got your iPad out?
And judging by the name, I would imagine it's not an Argentine.
Who is that?
So it's not just Argentine saying.
Is that one of the referees?
Argentina will go back-to-back.
Faranchiti? Oh, it's one of the referees.
The referee put that for sure.
From Qatar.
How do you feel when Grella always says you won the World Cup because of the referees?
No, it's okay, because I know that they paid Colomuani off to miss that one-on-one against Dibu Martinez to make that save. It's so obvious to me that he missed on purpose because Grella was paying him.
Nico, how about you say we're the Italians at the moment?
It's okay. They have it.
We got a segment for that. We got a special segment.
Grella, since he has memory, he only remembers Italy winning one World Cup. Not only one World Cup, one World Cup game since 2006.
Ooh. Unfortunately, though, Grella's kids have never seen Italy playing a World Cup.
The Euro. They've seen the Euro.
World Cup, though.
Madonna, you're a bigger fish to fry.
They haven't seen a World Cup.
Yeah, it hasn't been good. Missing 2 cycles, and now 50-50 if they miss a 3rd cycle.
Yeah. We're going to talk more about Italy and the teams on the cusp of making it in just a bit. But we've got another comment. I think it's England, Brazil, or France, although Spain is right now the best on paper.
Oh, we got a genius there. We got geniuses writing in.
Well, you're not encouraging our viewers to join us in the conversation.
I mean, they are the favourites, aren't they? They got the pot 4, and obviously how
that is the bookie favourites.
The draw's formatted in a way
Portugal,
as well, which
Netherlands,
does
and Germany
favour
looks
them.
really good.
So I think, listen, I've said it before, the most talented team for me, or the most talented nation, is the French. There's no denying that. When you talk about strength and depth, experience, youngsters coming through, the French are the most talented. The only thing that will stop the French from winning it is themselves. But England, yes, are highly regarded and rated to do well this World Cup as well. They've really got a good opportunity, a different manager, the first foreign manager England ever had, so it's a different approach. the Spanish, the Brazilian. I would say the Brazilians for me are the biggest dark horses.
Yes.
It's the first German we've had. We've had
Sven Goran Eriksson.
Oh yeah, sorry, not yes, the first German. Yeah, well, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, he doesn't need him anymore. Forgot.
No, but
anyway,
I think what you were trying to say is that if England is to win, Thomas Tuchel will be the first foreign manager to win a World Cup.
First foreign manager to win a World Cup for England. So
how amazing would
Thank
that
you.
be?
Well,
we're going to have a look at the bookies odds in a little bit, but let's bring in Hannah Cash and Charlie Davies, who are live in Washington, D.C. for us. Hannah, Chuck, so good to see you. What is it like over there right now?
Hi Poppy, hi everyone in the studio. It's bouncing, isn't it? It's so exciting to be here. I must say it's snowing, so it's absolutely freezing outside. We were able to find the media centre and get inside before my feet were about to fall off. But it's so exciting to be here. Everyone's bouncing, aren't they, Charlie?
Oh. We have incredible talent all around us. I was just looking at Danielson. We had talked to him earlier in line. You know, when you're talking about the World Cup draw, I felt like a kid on Christmas Eve, you know, in terms of the excitement, the build-up. And then we get the snow. I thought we were in the North Pole, not Washington, D.C. But ultimately, the hype is real. Everyone's kind of curious, how does this draw pan out? I saw Jesse Marsh as we walked in, and he said, I usually get poor draws. How we doing? You want to say what's up to everybody in Washington, the
Stanford
States?
in Connecticut.
Here in Stanford? It's live, yeah. So this is Danielson, obviously. Only Spanish. But
in Spanish.
it's good to see you. We wish Brazil all the best.
Thank you so much.
Good luck. Hope it goes well.
Yes, of course.
He can't hear.
Yeah,
can't speak Spanish.
Chucao. He wanted to hear Chucao. But
how's it been being over there, seeing some of the legends that are walking through and around the place, just a buzz for the World Cup with legends that you've grown up watching and seeing as well?
It's absolutely unbelievable, Nigel. I've been to one World Cup before, but I'm not used to being surrounded by all these FIFA legends, all these US soccer legends. We went to an MLS event last night at Audi Field, and it's just great to be in their presence. And you can tell they're excited as well. They're fans of the World Cup. Everyone's fans of the World Cup. So you can see the genuine excitement as a fan of football with these legends, which is great to see. We also caught up with Thierry earlier on as well, and everyone's just excited. That's all you can really say, can't you, Charlie?
yeah, I mean, for me, Nigel, you're looking at all these legends that I grew up watching. You see Roberto Baggio, you're seeing Thierry, who obviously works with us, but he's here. 88 legends are here today. And then you see Carly Lloyd and you know, we're seeing Ruud van Nistelrooy and Avram Grant, who is a former Chelsea manager. So ultimately, everyone's can't wait to see what the World Cup has in store for us next summer. And I think they all think this is going to be the biggest World Cup of all time.
You say Jesse Marsh is complaining about a draw that hasn't even happened yet. The World Cup hasn't even started yet, and Jesse's already upset.
No, I think he's trying to throw that reverse jinx in there. He's saying, hey, we're going to get doomed. We're going to get the group of death. You know, he's trying to so he can be pleasantly surprised. Grella, you know his tactics.
Hey, Charlie and Hannah, what do you guys think about the U.S. chances? Like, once the draw comes out today at 1 or whenever it may be, how much can we take away from the path alone, and how much will it affect the odds of the U.S.? Like, what's the buffer zone for them after the draft?
Well, you guys all know there's a little luck involved when it comes to a draw, and you could, of course, get a somewhat like a group of death if we're talking about Croatia, Colombia in pot 2. You get a Norway in pot 3. You know, even a Switzerland. You could have a really difficult draw, or you could get a little lucky. Maybe you get an Australia or a New Zealand, and you throw maybe you throw an Australia and a Cabo Verde, and you're saying, okay, we're looking pretty good. But then you all know you could finish first or second, and then there's 2 different routes to a final. I think this team needs to really believe that they can beat anybody, regardless of the draw. And then it comes with that belief when you get it to the tournament, taking it one game at a time. We saw Argentina lose to Saudi Arabia to open up the World Cup in 2022. Did anyone see them winning the World Cup after losing that first game?
Where is Messi?
So essentially,
They do have Messi.
Yeah, Messi, there's this one player that's still involved, but ultimately, I think Pochettino's put this team on the right path, and obviously they still have a long way to go.
But Mike, also, I think it's been so interesting just for me as well. I'm not from America. I've only been living in America for 3 months, so it's so interesting to see how the World Cup's in America this year, and I really think the world is going to start taking American soccer so seriously. And they've got the home advantage, they've got all the momentum behind them, they've got all the fans behind them wanting them to do well, they've got everything lined up to do well, so hopefully they can perform. So we'll see what group they get.
But Grella, I think you touched on it perfectly. As a young kid, the World Cup is what inspired you to play the game. 1994 was the first time I ever got to watch professional football. And it was South Korea and Bolivia. It was probably the worst group stage match to go to out of all the games in the World Cup. Zero action in front of goal. But I left that stadium, I left that environment feeling that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I was that inspired by the atmosphere and the environment. So that's what I get excited about, is knowing all the kids in this country are going to be watching the best athletes in the world competing on our soil, and hopefully the U.S. team inspires them to want to play the sport we all love.
It's so true, Chuck. Obviously, the next generation is going to be massive, isn't it? And they're going to be massively inspired by everything they see this summer. Good to see you both. Thanks so much. We'll check back in with you very soon.
Good to see you.
Happy to see them out of the snow. It looked cold, didn't it, to get in there. Stay with us. We've got loads more to come after the break. 2 hours and 45 minutes to go as we look ahead to the World Cup draw that's happening from Washington, D.C. We'll show you all of the pots just after this short break. Welcome back, everybody, to Golazo Matchday. Good to have you with us. Let's go through the pots and show you what we know so far ahead of the draw that is going to take place in about an hour or 45 minutes. This is a look at pot one, Nige. We can see 3 host countries in there, 6 former World Cup winners: Spain, Argentina, France, England, Brazil and Germany. And then, of course, you've got Portugal and Cristiano Ronaldo. What leaps out to you from the big dogs of this group?
Well, the big dogs, I will go, for me, my point I would like to make in this group is the biggest dark horse, Brazil. Yes, it sounds crazy saying Brazil is the biggest dark horse.
Five-time World Cup champion.
Yes, but they haven't been the Brazil of old that we've seen for so long, Nico. I think with Ancelotti being there and with Estevao now playing the way that he is, it is perfectly matched with a manager with that experience and quality to have the next superstar coming through. They're a big dark horse.
Pot 2, Nico, looks like this. Croatia, Morocco, Colombia, Uruguay among the notable teams. Then you've got South Korea, Japan, Senegal also in there. How are you feeling about your Morocco?
Yeah, I'm feeling very strongly about my Morocco, as I always feel strongly about Croatia because they always perform. Colombia as well is a team that you have to consider, and Senegal. I think those are the 4 strongest teams in Pot 2 that if you're in either one of the pots, you want to avoid. The team that I failed to mention is Uruguay, 2-time champion. Who are you looking at also?
Ecuador.
Ecuador. Thank you, Grella.
Ecuador as well.
Yeah.
They're a national team that's on the up. But historically, the other 4 that I mentioned have had more participation, stronger participations in the World Cup and in international tournaments. But just consider those. Uruguay, though, with the crisis that's going on there, I think they have the potential to stumble.
So true. We'll talk more about them in a second. Pot 3, though, looks like this. You've got Panama, Egypt, Algeria, Scotland, among a few of the notable names. And Norway, Grella, you still having nightmares about Norway?
I can't believe they're in Pot 3, by the way. Good team. Have obviously Holland in the front, but so many good players. Sorloth as well. A team that's organized, a team that scored, I think, like 37 goals in the qualifying, something ridiculous.
Holland had like 18 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, and everyone thought, oh, when they beat Italy in Norway, it was fluky, and then they beat Italy in Italy, no problem, ran them over. Panama in there as well, a defensive side. I played with and against a couple of those guys that are defensive that have grown in the last 2 or 3 years, and then obviously Scotland always has a puncher's chance. I like Ivory Coast as well. I cannot believe that an African team has never won the World Cup with some of the fantastic players they've had over the years.
Uzbekistan in there as well. They're the debutants of this World Cup. Speaking of debutants, Troy, we're seeing quite a few in this Pot 4, but a lot of empty spaces still to be filled in March.
Yeah, man, I'm calling Pot 4 the vibes check. Everyone here is happy to be there. They're ecstatic, not only play for the football, but what it has done for their whole team and their country. And when you look at somewhere like Haiti, what that country's gone through, both politically and the things that have gone there with natural disasters, for them to be in a World Cup is massive and it's monumental. And then you start looking at the empty gaps. You know, unfortunately, we have to talk about Italy being in there, Sweden, Poland, Russia. There's so many different teams that could make it into this. But if they do make it in, and we're going to get to it a bit later, look how difficult it's going to be. There's more chance that everybody is going to get a difficult team in there in those last
Troy,
6 people.
I can't believe you said Ghana's happy to be there.
They are happy to be there.
Wow.
They're not
massively underachieved. They're not the Ghana, but still, the talent is there, but
okay.
Massively underachieved.
Quick question, where do you think Ghana are going to finish? What's the ceiling for Ghana?
I mean, they're shambles. I'm just going to say that. You're right.
So you
can't say happy to be there. I mean,
I'm saying they're happy to be there because it's not the team of old. Yes,
not.
they've got history, but when you look through the rest, as a holistic approach, they'll all be very happy to be there.
Cape Verde, for me, is the great story in that part. I think what they've done, and Haiti as well, you've got to give credit to Haiti because obviously not unable to play at home. Cape Verde and Haiti and what they've achieved for being such small nations just lets you know. I think for me, I love that. It's the beauty of football, of what you can achieve. Yes, you get the powerhouses and stuff, but what made us fall in love with the game of football is the fact of you get these David versus Goliath moments. And it is possible, regardless how small your nation is. And I love those two.
I think the caveat in your argument is that it'll feel like a disappointment for Ghana if you crash out of the group.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas for debutants Jordan, debutants Cape Verde, debutants Curacao, who's the smallest nation by landmass and population to qualify for a FIFA Men's World Cup, just being there and having those 3, imagine one of those draws in Argentina. Imagine Haiti draws in Argentina as well. It's not Haiti's debut, but it's the first time in a very long time, in more than half a century, that they're at the World Cup. So for those nations to possibly draw a Portugal with Cristiano Ronaldo, right, a France with Mbappe, to spotlight the nation, almost like putting them on a map. I don't know even now that they've already qualified. If you ask anybody out there in the world to point Cape Verde out on a map, I think it'd be very difficult for them.
I just want to say as well, I said Russia in that. I didn't actually mean Russia, so apologies, that's wrong. I'm looking at like Jamaica and the tough teams like that they've got to come through. So there's a lot of those teams there, just looking over your shoulder, Poppy, to Pot 4. There's a lot of teams that have got big history, that are going through a transitional period, that will feel, and their fan base like it, that they should be at World Cups. When you actually look at the teams, they're nowhere near it.
Look at the likes of Italy. So you mentioned Sweden with Isak, Turkey, who's on the up, Romania,
Turkey,
Denmark, Ireland. I mean, Jamaica's in there. Congo wants to, right? Congo's just one game away.
Yeah. But we've got more to talk about with these pots and the potential matchups that we've got as well. We've got a poll on YouTube, though, talking about pot 2. Who would you not like to face from pot 2? Because, yes, pot 1, you expect that to be massive, don't you, right? But the scariest team of pot 2, 35% said Morocco, and then Croatia is just below that with 27%. Does that surprise you, Nige, or
no,
you expect that?
Credit to Morocco. I've got a lot of friends who are Moroccan descent in England, and they're my mates, and we've seen the development. And what I like to give credit to Morocco is the fact of they've invested in the right way. They've built the structure, the infrastructure the right way, and they've done things the right way in the sense of you don't have to worry about corruption. And that's something that we say goes on in a lot of African nations when it comes to football, because things are just not done the right way. They're not done professionally enough. And I could say it comfortably. When you look at Morocco, they've done it the right way. They've built the new, what's it called, national centre. The players are coming through. They're paying the players. You never hear players moaning about not being paid. Everything's done the professional way, and they're reaping the rewards off that. They are a powerhouse now of the continent of African football.
Do you know what's so crazy as well with the Qatar World Cup? I always remember in New York City how crazy was the scenes for Morocco in Times Square. Do you remember all the flags that we saw and everything, all the support that they had here in the States, especially in New York?
I believe they just won the Under-17s World Cup, and you should have seen the celebrations they put out for their 17-year-olds Under-20s World Cup.
Yeah.
And you should have seen the celebrations they put out for their Under-20s for winning the World Cup, and the celebrations and the open bus parade. It's just the fact of, for the younger generation, you're capturing their imagination of what they can do. And Moroccans are all over the world as well. So,
well, to that point, it's not just about the senior men's national team.
Yeah.
It's about the youth teams. It's about even the beach soccer teams. It's about the futsal teams, the women's teams. There has been this revamp of the entire Moroccan football institution to spread the wealth of football to everybody in the country. Yeah. And you're seeing these tournaments start being picked up. I mean, U20 is the perfect example. That it's a generational thing, and Morocco obviously now qualifying to their third World Cup, their best run of form ever, finishing as a semi-finalist, the first African nation to ever do that in the history of the men's tournament. It's pretty incredible. So just keep an eye out, because they're doing things right. And usually in football, when you do things right, you start seeing these results consistently.
I don't want to play against Croatia.
Negative coming.
No, I don't want to play against Croatia. It's a team that made it to a country of 4 million, by the way. Long Island, where I come from, there's 8 million people there. Wow. So it's like making a team out of half a Long Island and then competing in the World Cup, being in a final, and then last World Cup, last cycle, they knocked out to Argentina, right? That Argentina went to go win it. Everyone's like, oh, well, they've passed. The golden age of Croatia passed. I don't know. I looked at some of the players the other day. I don't want to play against them. They pass you to death. Experience. They have young players coming into the team, quick players. Modric is still going to be there as well. So that's a team I don't want to play against for sure. I don't think they're done yet.
Yeah, I think there's two that we're missing out on as well. And again, I understand Croatia, but Austria have been fantastic. They're on a great run. And I don't want to play against Senegal. The pace, the power that they have. The pot 2 is the more interesting pot for me. I think if you're any of the bigger teams, your England, your France, your Argentina, Spain, you're trying to avoid those guys. And I remember a show we did not too long ago, Nico, you was quite high up on Japan as well. Yeah,
I mean, Japan destroyed Brazil. They were down to 0 and they came back with authority, right? This is a team that can compete. Historically, it feels like they start tournaments well, and then they don't end them well. They start with a lot of energy, but then they don't have that consistency to kind of bring down a big dog in the knockout stage, but it's someone you don't want to get mixed up early in the tournament. Regardless, though, for the most part, if you're a pot 1 team, you're drawing a strong team in pot 2. I mean, that's how it's historically worked, and you're going to have to beat a difficult team, or at least match up against a difficult team more likely than not. If you're looking at it the other way around, if I'm a pot 2 or pot 3 team, I'm looking at which teams from pot 1 I want. I want Canada, Mexico, and the U.S.
Fair. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so if you're U.S., you could get, let's just say Morocco. We're going to say Morocco, right? So you could get U.S., Morocco, Norway, and Italy. let's say, could be an unbelievable group. That would be, or even if it was Argentina, Croatia, Norway, Italy. That would be
you couldn't get Argentina, Croatia, Norway, Italy. It's 3 Europeans.
3 Europeans.
Ah, okay. But you understand what I'm saying?
Correct.
Italy would come in as the 4th seed. Norway's a difficult team in pot 3. There's too many difficult teams that could come in. Even Sweden, like we said, the 2 strikers, Isak and Gyökeres as well. So it's not easy.
How did
Why
he
do you
just
keep
say?
on putting Italy?
How did he
What
just
about
say the
Northern
one
Ireland?
combination that isn't possible out of all the possible combinations?
So, I mean,
That
do we
is
want to go over
the
that?
best thing I've
So
ever seen.
Grella's clear. Grella.
Go on,
I knew that.
Nico.
I knew that. I just picked the best
Okay,
4
so
teams that I saw.
Nico, go, please. Educate Grella, please.
Let's
help us
help
out.
you out, Grella. Okay, because there's just a
6
couple.
million combinations. Grella picks the only one you can't go with.
Listen, there's just a couple of combinations that you can't have, right?
Okay.
Forget about UEFA. You can't play teams in your same confederation. So the United States can't draw Panama in the same group, for example. Just say Jamaica qualifies. They wouldn't be able to draw Jamaica in the same group. So that's a restriction. Then if you're UEFA, of course, there's more UEFA teams than anybody else from any other confederation. UEFA has a limit of 2 European teams per group. So that's the only thing you can have. So if you do want to include Norway and Italy, it would have to be like a Mexico-Morocco, the US-Morocco, US-Colombia, for example. And then the caveat. FIFA justified this as in order to conserve a competitive structure. Argentina, France, England, and Spain. These 4 teams will go to opposite sides of the quadrant for the very first time. So if Argentina is on one side of the bracket, Spain will be on the other side of the bracket in the knockout stage if they both finish in the same portion of the group. And just like France and England, they would go to the opposite ends. If all of these 4 teams finish in first place and they keep on winning, those will be the semifinals. It could either be Argentina against England and France against Spain, for example, which... For the first time ever they've done that. They say it's to keep a competitive balance, but it's never been done before in the World Cup like that.
To me, that feels like they're trying to make sure they get the best final, the biggest names final. I don't feel that's the right thing to do. You've got to let it fall as it falls, and if France have to play Spain in the quarterfinals, so be it. It's part of the World Cup.
I understand that, but then sometimes it also stops people from kind of messing around with that 3rd and final game because they're looking ahead. So that kind of takes that out of it as well, which some nations have done before in previous World Cups, where they kind of throw that last game away because avoiding the draw. So I understand it, but it works favour, and it also works for the 4 highest ranked nations. It does. So
Do you know what I really like today? That we're going to see them pick the balls out of the pots, because the computer system doesn't really have that
Doesn't feel
same
transparent.
as
Computer.
Yes,
You just
it
wonder
doesn't.
where they just pull the number out of nowhere.
Yeah, AI somehow
I
magically.
mean, it's less complex than a Champions League draw, which is, I guess, what you're referring to, right?
Right.
Or they press a button.
When now it's done all electronically. Today we're going to get to see the names be pulled in more dramatic
you like
fashion.
the physical element.
Yes,
It's okay.
I'd
It's
love
okay.
Grella to do it. That would be brilliant.
He'll
if he
probably
was
drop one.
It would be perfect. The odds to win look like this. Obviously, we've got the top 5. Spain, England, France, Brazil, Argentina. Spain is at the top, plus 400. England just behind them. France, plus 650. And then you've got Italy, who haven't even qualified yet, at plus 3,300, which kind of puts into perspective.
Why are they laughing?
I'm laughing because Italy haven't qualified yet. They've got Northern Ireland to go through in a few things. I'm just how can they make the list and they haven't even
Grella,
qualified?
would it be a good bet to put money on Italy right now?
No.
No, it wouldn't.
I mean, that actually looks like value, but that's a sucker bet for me because, they're, like Nigel says, they're not in the tournament. They got a really difficult path to the tournament with respect to those other teams they have to play against, potentially Wales and Bosnia, if they get to that second leg away from home. So that will be difficult for them. But also, I've watched them play in 90 minutes too many times under Gattuso with these group of players, and they've got some weaknesses in the team. So.
What about the top, though? Do you agree that England and Spain are the top 2, Troy?
I actually don't.
No?
I actually don't. I understand it, but again, I got to Nigel, but I think France should always be up there just for the talent pool that they have. I also believe that if you are the reigning champions, you should come in at the top as well. So I'd probably put Argentina and France above England and Spain at this moment in time. For me, I think Spain are the team that I am looking at the most. Again, with the heat at the time of year, it's going to be, I think, the way that they keep the ball is going to be fantastic.
Whoa. Hey, let's not forget, there's a lot of good South American sides there who are used to that climate and weather and all that. Some talented teams that can handle that.
But again, you're going off the fact of, like, the heat is just for that. They can be acclimatised to that, but they're just not as good footballers. So you can have a great South American team that don't have the same quality as a Spain.
Good point.
That's not disrespectful to the other teams. It's how good Spain are, but Spain keep the ball, they move it well, and then they have the likes of Lamine Yamal who can run past you and do something, and you can't stop it.
But then there's also a lot of talent in South American nations as well, in Colombia, and they can turn it into a dogfight. Like when you watch a lot of Copa Libertadores and those type of tournaments, I know it's domestic, but when you take it to that international front, it can be very uncomfortable. They can make the Europeans very uncomfortable with that heat.
£50 for charity right now.
Of course.
Colombia will be ahead of Spain.
Colombia, that's a whole different conversation we're having. I'm just saying,
we're having.
we have not experienced. Hold on, we have not experienced a World Cup like this. It's the first ever World Cup with so many teams. Obviously, the weather's going to play a part. The climate will play a part for the Europeans who are not used to that. And obviously, you probably say it's more suited for these teams in this region.
Who's your top two?
I agree with you on the top two. I think for me, Argentina should be up there. Like, do not write out.
Who's your top two then?
Who?
Who's your top two?
France and Argentina.
Okay,
I think
so
Argentina.
neither England or Spain then.
No, I think France and Argentina. I think they've got talent, Spain and England. But for me, the weather, the pattern, the climate would suit the Argentines more so. I think the French have the talent, and I would say I agree with Troy.
What about Norway? Because we briefly mentioned them. Let's have a look at the poll for the scariest team that you could face in pot 3.
Wow.
Norway win it by a landslide. Obviously, you've got Scotland. What an incredible story for the Tartan Army to be back in the World Cup. They've had, obviously, so much excitement, haven't they, with their dramatic game that they played to get into this position. But Norway, are we overlooking them? Because, like you said, Grella, they put on a really good show, didn't they, in the group stage? And Erling Haaland, is this his best chance now that we're going to see him in this World Cup in the form that he's in?
Yeah, they're a scary team. They're better than most of the teams. They're better than every team for me in pot 3. They're better than a lot of teams in pot 2 as well, I would say. So they're a team that if you get them in your group, you've got a bad draw.
Norway's goal
got a bad
differential.
draw.
Norway had a goal differential of plus 32 at the World Cup. That was the highest in
The
all
qualifier.
qualification in the world. So think about Haaland. And I think at the World Cup, you're looking for superstars. And I'm not saying that Norway doesn't have talent, because around Haaland, they have a lot of talent. You consider like the Sorloth, of Nusa, of Odegaard. But when there is one man that is running the show, he is a freakish athlete, an incredible footballer, the way and the manners and the versatility in which he scores goals. If I'm any other nation, I want to avoid Norway as much as I can, so I don't even come in within eyesight of Erling Braut Haaland.
So, but is that the problem though? Is that because of Haaland? If say for instance, like take Erling Haaland out of there, will we still be as high on Norway?
I think, and we spoke to it yesterday on Morning Footy, I think Odegaard is going to be a key piece. He's not playing a lot for Arsenal, so he's going to come into it fresh, but also frustrated as well. So Arsenal potentially could win 2 or 3 competitions this year, we don't know. But he could be in there on the sideline, being as the captain of the club, going, I want to be there, frustrated, I want to show. And this World Cup could be his moment to not only be the captain, but also to go, let me show you why I'm still that guy. Yeah. And I think he's going to have a wonderful World Cup. I really do.
It's so true. They're a really big team to watch, aren't they? Maybe a lot of people's dark horse as well. Obviously, we mentioned they were in a group with Italy. We'll speak about Italy and all the teams that are still in contention to make it to the 2026 FIFA World Cup after the break. Welcome back, everybody. Over in Europe, 16 teams are still in contention for the final 4 places allocated to the UEFA correspondents for the FIFA World Cup. This combines the second-place teams from the qualification group stage, as well as several who've gained access through their Nations League standings. There's several different paths. You can see A, B, C, and D. Grella, we've got to start with Italy, though. How are you feeling about their chances now with who they have to play? They're at home in Italy, right, in Bergamo for the first leg. And then if they win that, they'll then advance and be away for the second leg.
Northern Ireland have been good. They won't be an easy match. Italy at home, you'd have to say that they should win that game. Well, I've said that against North Macedonia last time around, and they lost that game. But if they go through, then they have to play away from home. It's a team that's, I think, lacking a little bit of personality and character. And they'll have to play Wales or Bosnia after that. So
Away. Imagine going to Bosnia away, bro.
It's a team that when Italy scores first, they've always conceded almost right after, or they've struggled in the big games, especially with Norway. They scored first against them. With Israel, they conceded a ton of goals late in that game as well. When they don't score first, they crumble. They can't find a way out. They've gone for this 4-4-2 formation that the team it's like an accordion. It gets stretched like crazy. And the rah-rah of Gattuso can only get you so far.
Yeah.
You know?
Brother, I have a question for you.
He's not playing for them, so they found it difficult. They should, though, with the names that they have on paper, they should be there. They should get through that bracket.
It feels wrong to have a World Cup without Italy. Italy is a traditional, historic nation at the World Cup.
4 World Cups.
Second most, tied with Germany, right behind Brazil. So again, not having Italy for another World Cup, it would just feel wrong, especially
lost in 2 finals with Brazil.
Why does it feel wrong?
Could be 6.
Earn the right to qualify. Don't come out like it feels wrong. I understand historically they've been there, but
let me finish my question. Let me land. I'm not saying they deserve to be at the World Cup. I would just say it feels wrong for them not to be at the World Cup. Because, listen, how do you feel about the European qualifier, and considering everything that Gattuso had said, that considering that Italy is losing just 2 games and then suddenly they're in a dire circumstance, unable to qualify to the World Cup?
Well, let's say Italy would have draw with Norway. I'm going to flip it a little bit. Let's say Italy would have draw with Norway in Norway and then beat them 2-1, right? And then Norway still scored 37 goals. What's their goal difference? Plus whatever, plus 32. First time it's ever been done in history. And in that scenario, Norway wouldn't be gone. Would that be fair to Holland? Would that be fair to Sorlo? Would that be fair to that group of players that are fantastic? Especially when you look at some of the teams that are in pot 3. Some of the teams that are just in the tournament in general. Right? And then you don't have Italy, you don't have Turkey, you don't have these bigger teams, especially Italy with 4 World Cups to their name. I don't make the tournament. I don't know if there's another way to do it. I understand that. They have to go through this playoff format, but it does feel like it's much more difficult in Europe than it is. And some of these South American teams lost 7 games or lost 6 games.
Nobody lost 6 games.
Paraguay has a chance to go through, right? And they lost, in the playoff, right?
Listen.
No, Bolivia's in the playoff.
Bolivia. But how many games did Bolivia lose?
I'm not sure.
Look at Italy's fixtures. It should have never been that hard for Italy. Italy not making it is on Italy themselves. There's no one else to blame.
Even if they beat Norway in Italy and had 1 loss, they would have been out.
Yeah, but
okay, that's fine. At the end of the day, it still generally favours the UEFA.
So they would have been out through goal difference.
Listen.
Grella, if I gave you $1 million right now and said, but you have to predict whether Italy goes through or whether they don't to get the $1 million, and you have to be right, which way would you go?
I would say no, because I think they're going to struggle. I think that the 4 World Cups, the reason the conversation we're having is that it feels wrong that they're not going to be in the World Cup. Those players carry that weight. That country carries that weight. We have 4 World Cups. Oh, my God, all the guys that came before us, we need to be in this tournament. You know what kind of pressure that is on these players that probably are in this situation because they don't know how to deal with pressure in big moments? Away from home in the second leg, if they get there, against a Bosnia or a Wales, by the way, difficult teams to play against, I don't like their odds in that kind of game with what they have right now, with the pressure of them having to make it to the World Cup.
I know we have to speak about Italy for right now, but as you said, they've missed out on a few cycles now, they've not done it. My frustration with Italy, I think we've spoken about it before, is when you look at Germany, when they had a bit of a bad patch, they went, right, reset, fix it. Spain went through a bad patch. Right, reset, fix it. Italy have gone, we'll keep doing the same things and wonder why it doesn't change. And then we have these discussions like, we're talking about a feeling, a historical feeling that we think that Italy is just a great nation. We know that when we see that shirt, we feel like that's the World Cup. They should be there.
But what would you do to change it then, Troy?
First off, can we actually have a manager that everyone's comfortable with? This is not a slight at Gattuso, but we know he's been brought in for character, emotion. It's not because his tactical awareness or his coaching abilities. Let's call it fair.
His pedigree.
So that's one. Secondly, can we stop going down the path of everybody has to be over 28 before they play? The footballers moved on now. Start creating your own kids. Do something with Serie A where you say, right, I don't know, 75% of the players have to be from Italy. Germany did that when they were restarting. Spain did that as well. Put a tax on bringing in foreign players. And then also promote a pathway that these guys who play the under 17s, under 20s, under 21s, under 23s, that they can actually get into the first team. And then also, finally, for this rant is over, somebody like Chiesa, you don't pick when you play for the national team. Either you're here or you're not.
Surely that's crazy. Surely that's got to be the most frustrating situation for
fair?
Italians, right? The Chiesa situation.
It's a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
That's probably one of 10 different things that it could be with Italy. For sure, they have, like, they don't play young players in Italy, right? Pio Esposito is the one-off example that's been scoring goals now. That doesn't happen often in Italy. For sure, that's an issue. But for Chiesa is a guy that didn't want to be in the team, and then he hasn't been in the team, you know? So he is out.
Yeah, but that's your best player, arguably your best player, saying, no thanks, I'll come out on the other side.
It's my frustration.
He shouldn't be able to dictate it.
Yeah, but we don't know why he doesn't want to be involved.
But listen, Troy's right. Other nations have done a reset, and you see them getting that now. England was a nation where people used to laugh at us about England. No, you only kick it long. We said, okay, we go to the youth team. We started winning under 17s, World Cups and all that, and now you look at England. Now we actually got a pool of talent.
But you guys have 1-0.
Okay,
You won the World Cup
we take it
66.
back then.
Won the World Cup 66.
Two Euro finals.
Don't listen.
Euro finals.
There we go.
In a 1966
And we
World
should have
Cup.
won it.
Don't worry, at least we've still got one,
Here's
mate.
a look at the comment from Turkey we've got on YouTube, the poll. Let's have a look and see what it says. Turkey is by far the best UEFA team. Çalhanoğlu, Gula, Yildiz, not close. Top 4 team that should be higher. Thoughts?
Yes, but with Vincenzo Montella, I don't want to say but, with Vincenzo Montella, Turkey has taken significant steps forward, right? They were in a difficult group with Spain. Again, one of those situations where it's like, oh, you have 2 good teams, only one of them is going to go straight through.
Exactly.
So, they're still alive, by the way. They have to go through Romania, Slovakia, or Kosovo. Right? Win 2 games and you're in the World Cup. And if Vincenzo Montella has gotten this very talented group of teams, they need to go through these nations and prove that they are ready to get to the World Cup. And once you're there, yes, with Arda, with Çalhanoğlu, with Yildiz, they do have a lot of up-and-coming, blossoming talent that they can, I mean, Kemal Aktürkoğlu, I can keep Barış Alper Yilmaz, a lot of these hungry players that are ready to prove themselves. You saw what they did at the Euro. They could be a scary team to come up against. Perhaps not a dark horse to make that deep, deep run like they did in 2002, but to knock somebody out on the way and to complicate things for somebody, that's a potential.
Just quickly also, like the World Cup is a very special event, right? And they're going to add all these other teams, obviously, and it's a clash of cultures as well. But you have a lot of teams in here, 48 teams in total, right? A lot of teams here have no business. They're not going to win. They're not going to come close. Some of them won't win a game. A lot of them won't win a game. And then you have nations like Turkey, like Sweden, like Italy, that couldn't give you interesting moments, interesting games, can go deep. Italy's on the list of the favorites to win the tournament. They're not even in the tournament.
I know we got
That's
to go
UEFA.
to break. But you can't throw Sweden in there just because of 2 players.
Yeah.
They haven't won anything.
Okay.
I understand your point.
But you know what? That's UEFA's fault.
You're losing quality.
That's UEFA's fault for having an
Let's just have a
unbalanced
look
World
at
Cup qualifying
the
cycle.
Intercontinental Playoff bracket, because obviously that's the other qualifying place that you could get to the World Cup through. Here's just a reminder of who we can see on this. There's 2 paths forward for this, and then obviously the playoff final. Nico, which one have you got your eye on here?
You don't want to have a crack at the flags, Poppy?
Yeah, New Caledonia, Jamaica. They'll face the DR Congo, and the winner of Bolivia and Suriname will face Iraq.
Well, you're absolutely spot on. DR Congo and Iraq are 1 game away from qualifying for the World Cup. I think it's a massive disappointment for Jamaica, who had control in their own hands, that they're not in the World Cup. Their manager resigned, surprisingly so. They should beat New Caledonia, and then they have to get through a very resilient DR Congo side who beat Nigeria. And then on the other hand, to talk about resurgency, Suriname, the country who helped feed the success of the Netherlands for so many years, goes up against Bolivia. That's going to be a tough match, and then you have to go through a very battle-tested Iraq that beat the UAE to get to this stage. So anything can happen. These are national teams that can aspire to get to the World Cup. They're competitive and they'll put up a fight.
So they've got 2 places that are available for them to go through to the World Cup. Just before we go to break, let's have a look at another poll. Is Italy the most scary team to face in the playoffs? Yes, they are. 56% of you say, I'm not so sure. Have they seen Italy playing in the past, like you were saying, Grella? Maybe teams are feeling comfortable at this point that they can play another spoiler.
Have we seen how they concede goals?
More to come after the break. We're counting down to all of the pots being drawn from Washington, D.C., from the Kennedy Center. We'll talk more about pot 1 in just a second.
Our World Cup draw continues, and we're going to be talking about all of the nations involved. It's 48 teams, 104 games. The biggest FIFA World Cup ever, which includes 3 host nations. The first time ever 3 nations are combining to host a World Cup. So let's look at the map and take a peek at where these games are being played. In Mexico, in Canada, in the United States. 3 venues. In Mexico, Estadio Azteca will be the first and only stadium to host World Cup games in 3 different editions, and these are all of the cities in the United States. This is the group stage, games to be played everywhere. Then we move on to the round of 32, the first ever round of 32 at a FIFA World Cup. 2 games in Mexico, 2 in Canada, and several in the United States. All right, let's move it on over to the round of 16. We still have games in Mexico, 1 game in Mexico, 1 game in Canada, and games in the United States. And then from here on out, let's talk quarterfinals, where the games will be exclusively in the United States. But given the format of the top 4 seeds, there is potential, if everything goes right, for England, France, Argentina, and Spain, that one of each will be playing in these stadiums. Then we move it on to the semifinal. We've got a game in Atlanta and a game in the biggest venue in all of the World Cup at AT&T Stadium. And then the 3rd place match in Miami, Hard Rock Stadium. Someone will get the bronze medal there. And then in New York City on July 19th, technically, in the great state of New Jersey, it's the World Cup final. So we're looking forward to that. 104 games, the biggest World Cup in football history.
Nico, you're like a weatherman up there.
You like it? The weather football man.
You're a man of many talents, aren't you?
Thank you. I appreciate that. You too.
Is that right?
Nigel's my boy.
That's not what you said on the Europa League show when you outright said Charlie was your favourite person to work with on the Golazo show.
He's easier to work with, but you know what? Nigel keeps me on my toes.
I
not
have
as much
skin,
as
I'm all right.
Yeah, it's okay, but not as much as Charlie. Charlie's very nice. Nigel keeps me on my toes, which means that he keeps me sharp.
If you're relying on him to keep you sharp, you're in dangerous territory. Grell, what of those stadiums do you like, obviously, for the World Cup draw? Is there any that jump out? It's going to be special, isn't it, to see a World Cup game in Texas, in Dallas at the AT&T
great
Stadium?
city. Yeah, Atlanta is a fantastic city. Obviously, New York as well. I think all these places will have their own little swing on things. I'm going to the West Coast, where the U.S. will play 3 of their group stage matches. That's a fantastic place to go to. And I think the beauty that we talk about the World Cup of all the cultures playing against each other and the way they interpret the game, that's the beauty you'll be able to see in all the different cities as well. Because I think all the American cities are a little bit different from each other as well. So it would be a really nice experience.
It's really nice from an American perspective, but for me, one stadium that stands out is the Azteca. For me, I think that the history in that stadium with football, I was fortunate to play there myself as well. So it was just amazing. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like, it takes you about 45 minutes to get your breath because of the altitude and depending how, what's the word I'm looking for? Pollution is, but okay.
Yeah,
but,
smog.
The smog. But yeah, but it's just the history of that stadium and everything with what comes with it, the passionate fan base up there.
Was it intimidating?
Yeah, well, it wasn't intimidating. I mean, got some, some very aggressive moments from the fans, being an away side in there, but it was just, it's what you dream of, that's what you want. Like, Troy would probably thrive in that kind of environment, being public enemy #1. He loves that. I don't mind.
It's a stadium,
but it's just a stadium in history.
That saw Pelé lift a World Cup. It's a stadium that saw Maradona lift a World Cup. It's a stadium that saw the best goal in World Cup history occur.
Which one?
The Maradona from halfway.
No, I don't think so. That was not the best goal in World Cup history.
The handball, I think it was voted the goal of the century, regardless. And the handball, of course.
Yes.
World Cup legendary, iconic moments occurred in that stadium. You walk in, Nigel, like you experienced, and you got to walk into the stadium and you look up. It's like a true football coliseum.
Unbelievable.
It's going to be an intimidating factor. So whoever, pot 3, one of those pot 3 teams will be drawn into Mexico's group, and that will be the opening match of the FIFA World Cup. And if there's one place I don't want to play an opening game at a World Cup, is against Mexico in the Azteca.
Do you not think it's the opposite? It's a great stadium. It's intimidating. That Mexico team is not as good as we think. I think if I'm a pot 3 team, I don't know about you, I'm going...
But you're thinking about your mindset, your individual character. Some of these players don't have your individual mindset and character. You talk about a World Cup now. As much as the Mexico team ain't great, the fans behind them, letting them know what's at stake.
Who's the pressure going to be on?
They will block. Yeah, but I think
it's a double-edged sword. Without a doubt, it's a double-edged sword. But imagine being on Uzbekistan, who's never played a World Cup game in their history, going to. I understand that you have nothing to lose.
You're right,
but
though. There's going to be so much pressure, isn't there,
going to the
on
Azteca?
Mexico.
It's invaluable.
We're going to talk about the US just after the break. Let's just have a look at who they could potentially go against, because they're in pot 1, aren't they? Because they are the host nations, Mexico, Canada and the United States. In the Group A, B and D. We'll talk all about Pochettino's side in just a second. Welcome back, everybody, to the 2026 FIFA World Cup draw. The US men's national team are getting ready for a World Cup that will be on home soil this summer. Mauricio Pochettino's men obviously didn't have to qualify for this, along with Mexico and Canada being one of the host nations. But the pressure is building, isn't it, for this US side, Grella? When we talk about nightmare scenarios for Pochettino, obviously Charlie mentioned Jesse Marsch is all doom and gloom already, thinking of the possibilities of the teams that they could face. What would a nightmare scenario look like for the US men's national team?
In terms of who they have to play, or results-wise?
No, who they could get drawn against today.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong with the thoughts here.
Let's see if you were listening.
I was listening, but if they get like a Morocco, Norway, Italy situation, that would be very difficult for them. I think that's one of the worst ones. Even if you say like a US, Morocco, Norway, Turkey situation, that's the worst group they can get. Now, also, I think it's important to note, we haven't mentioned it yet, that 8 of the third place teams will go through. 8 third place teams will go through, right, out of potential 12 third place teams. So,
which is a lot, right?
Which is a lot. Which I think that a couple teams with 2 points might go through. Certainly, if you have 3, you have a big shout of going through. So no matter how difficult their group is, them being at home, the preparation they've had for this, I think they're a better team than they think that they are. They should get through no matter what difficult group they get. They should be through.
Are they a better team than what we saw from Greg Berhalter's team in Qatar for you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah? Okay.
I think they're when you start to go, when you look at the whole board, you're like, all right, that's 48 teams. They can all play, by the way, right? Like some of these teams that, that I was saying, oh, they don't belong in the tournament. Like you get like a Tunisia, not an easy game to play against. Iran, the U.S. found that themselves, not easy game to play against. But I do think the U.S. have enough. When you start to look at the real favorites, only 8 teams have ever won the World Cup. Right? When you start to look at the favorite, they're like the 11th, 12th favorite to win the tournament. They have players now with experience in Europe. They have players now with also experience in MLS that beat Uruguay 5-1. They have a manager that's done it at the highest levels, at the higher levels. And so I think it's a team that can get something done.
The best value that Pochettino brought to the table, he peeled away the layers of complacency that were bred into this national team with Berhalter. A lot of players felt like they belonged to the national team because of their name, because of their club. And Pochettino walked in and said, guys, this is the wrong mentality to have at the club, on the national team. Because just because of who you are, just because of where you play, doesn't mean that you deserve an automatic spot on the national team. There were a couple players in the summer that said, hey, let me rest for the World Cup. And Pochettino was taken aback. Wait. What do you mean? How do you know you're going to the World Cup, right? So there's a certain entitlement that grew and complacency that settled into this group.
But is there one exception?
But right there. And the line was pushed. And Pochettino understood that he had to stamp his foot of authority. And because if he didn't stamp that out, the rest of the team is affected by that. So now we're starting to see a national team that's understanding what Pochettino wants from them, and that fight, that spirit that has historically categorized the United States, that despite them not being the highest of quality, we saw them 2002. They were one bad referee call away from making a quarterfinal of the World Cup. This is a team that can fight, that historically has been there, that can compete, and if they want to surprise, it's on them to surprise the world.
I think the biggest thing for the US is recency bias in terms of the last time out, obviously against Uruguay, they were fantastic. But I also think, what if they got a group that was relatively easy? That pressure, that expectation, not only to win now, but to play well. For fans wanting to go to games, I don't know, let's say they got Australia, New Zealand, and Qatar, let's say. That was their group.
No, you can't get that group.
But either way. But let's say they got that group.
But sure,
shame on you. You're not you with me. You're in the penalty box.
But the point is,
You get to the same thing for 2 minutes.
If they get the easiest group, right, you're missing the point. The easiest group now, and they don't have to go and just win those games now. They have to win with a certain style. They have to win with an expectation that everyone going to these games goes, right, we're going to win. And that, I think, is going to be the biggest testing point, because they've peeled back the layers of complacency, 100% of what Nico says. The manager is very demanding on what he wants. Now, who can deliver? Who actually can deliver other than Christian Pulisic?
But is one of the concerns the fact that they haven't had to qualify for the World Cup, Nige? Because realistically, Pochettino walked into this job and he hasn't had any significant games of note. this is going to be the first time where the US actually feels pressure, where the outcome of the game is going to define their future. So he's been able to rotate all the teams. We've seen MLS players coming in, but the negative side of that is they've had no pressure, and he still is so far away from knowing what his best 11 is.
I think he's close to knowing what his best 11 is.
Do you?
Yeah, I think for me, I look at it just from a performance aspect of it. I've seen change in attitude and mentality shift in the US national team. And that is what Pochettino wanted to do the most. He wanted to change the mentality side of things, of wanting everyone to fight for the team. You got to look at the messaging and the nations that they played and how he felt that their home, but yet there was more atmosphere with the away teams that they were playing and more aggression with them and the passion that they're showing. He wants the US players to embody that fight, that character, that grit, regardless if you're playing for a big European side or playing for an MLS side.
Can you do that with no pressure, though?
I think you can. I mean, this is the card that he's been dealt. Like, you're the hosting nation, you get to qualify for free. He knows what he's doing. He's a manager that's smart. His messaging has been very smart. And I've seen it in the performances. I've seen it in the aggression that was showing in recent performances, regardless of Uruguay missing some of their starters. But what you want to see, the other foundation that makes you become a good footballer, we saw that, the fight, the grit, because that's what you're going to need in intimidating atmosphere. Yes, USA are home, but I guarantee there's going to be a tremendous amount of away support for whoever they're playing against, and your players have to rise above that to say that regardless if it's back against the wall, we're still going to fight and swing. And that's what he's doing. The mentality of the US national team has been wrong for a long time. And he has come now, and you can see a change already where a lot of players, regardless of how well you're doing, you're not comfortable, you're not guaranteed to be here. And even when we're having these conversations right now, we still have a long way till this World Cup goes. There could be so many players who get injured, and we've seen so many crazy injury situations in the history of the World Cup. What was it, one goalkeeper one time, I think, dropped an aftershave on his toe or something and broke his toe historically.
Cole Palmer,
and he couldn't, well, that's not Cole Palmer, but he couldn't go to the World Cup because of a real freak accident. Like, there's so many things that can happen leading to the World Cup, but you want everyone to be at it. You don't want just to save people.
Like playing a World Cup at home. I understand the World Cup qualifying cycle. That wasn't great for Mexico either, right? Not playing meaningful games. Or a selected amount of meaningful games. Nations League counted, but Copa America counted for both of these teams. They understand what it is to compete. Pochettino has had less of those to kind of forge this team, but they understand that there is a pressure to deliver. Just like in '94, those guys, if they didn't perform, if they weren't competitive, imagine where the sport would be now if the '94 team crashed out of the group stage.
Question again, new to America. What's considered success for USA?
So I think success is getting into a quarterfinal and exceeding expectations. I think it's the same litmus test that we had for the '22 World Cup. You can underperform, which is crash out of the group stage. And at this point, I would also say lose in the round of 32 because we have a completely different round, right? And then meeting your expectations is losing in the round of 16, just like the United States did to the Netherlands. You were expected to lose to the Netherlands. And what happens there?
But Nico, if you said that this team is better under Pochettino than the Qatar World Cup, you were in agreement, right? Shouldn't the expectations be higher than what they were set at in Qatar?
Yes, you're right, but the world of football is still extremely competitive. I would be surprised if the US got to a quarterfinal. I would, of course, welcome it. It would be incredible.
Yeah.
But if the US gets to the quarterfinal, I think you could say the United States exceeded expectations.
Semi-final will be exceeding expectations for me. I think that the quarterfinal is the minimum, because if we talk so much about now getting game time, playing in Europe, and they're playing in big, they've got all of that now. They've got that with these players now. So now, if you've really taken US soccer to the next step or the next level, you've got to be looking to get into the semi-final, to the quarterfinals minimum as expectations of this is where we're supposed to be. Not saying it's going to be easy. Not saying other nations have been standing still, but this is what progression looks like, and we have to aim for that.
For me, it's simple. They've never got to the semi-final, right?
They have. Years and years ago, they have. US did years ago.
1930, okay.
It's still semi-final.
So, but how many teams were in that tournament?
12.
Okay.
They still got to a semi-final.
Like when I got to MLS and the guys told me that they won MLS and there was 8 teams in the thing. Listen, they never made a semi-final. We're talking about years later, since 2002. They have players playing Champions League. They have players playing the highest level of competition. They have fantastic players. They have Pochettino in the new man. If you make the semifinal, then you've made progression. Anything less than that, I think you have questions to ask.
Charlie Davies is with us in Washington, D.C. Chuck, where do you fall on this? I know you've been listening in. What is success for the US for you?
Success is a semifinal. That's a success for me. Of course, when you hire a coach like Mauricio Pochettino, the idea is he's going to get the most out of this group and to get them to go further than they ever have before. And to Nigel's point, yeah, maybe they've been the semifinals back in 1930, but we're talking about in our lifetime, they haven't even come close. The quarterfinals in 2002 was promising. I think it inspired a whole generation. We started to make some ground on the rest of the countries around the world. Let's not forget in 2009, the Confederations Cup. We beat Spain. Spain hadn't lost since the Euros in 2008, and then they went on to win the World Cup in 2010. That, to me, spoke to our whole group that we could beat anybody, that we could win a World Cup one day. We played an incredible 45 minutes. Of course, you got to play the full 90 in the final where we're up 2-0 against Brazil. But again, we touched greatness. In that tournament, we felt that we could compete with the likes of anyone in the world. And so if you're looking at this current group right now, they got that experience in Qatar. But now, how do they build off of that experience with a number of those players who probably are still going to be in the mix in 2026? So, to me, the semifinals are bust.
Charlie, you played for the U.S. national team. I know you're a big fan of the national side. I've heard this word pressure. What would you say is the percentage of pressure is on this U.S. national team to be successful?
Pressure is always going to be there. Think about the pressure for these guys to perform in Europe day in and day out. I look at a Christian Pulisic, a Weston McKennie, who's counted out every single season at Juve. That's pressure. We're talking about week-to-week pressure. They're playing on home soil where the majority of the stadium is going to be supporting them. And typically when you're playing with the U.S. men's national team and you're playing in these matches, you're hearing most of the away fans anyway. So for them to finally hear the roar of a pro-American crowd in these stadiums when they're playing, I think this isn't pressure. They don't know pressure. Pressure is Tony Meola and his group, collegiate players trying to qualify for the 1990 World Cup where they hadn't been in a World Cup for decades. That's pressure. This isn't pressure. For me, of course, the pressure they put on themselves to exceed the expectations, to inspire a whole generation. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for these players. So pressure, that to me is just an ambiguous term. Ultimately, we're all going to put pressure on ourselves, but if anything, you feel more inspired and fueled to have success on home soil.
Chuck, for sure, I follow everything you're saying, but let's just imagine Argentina, the U.S. draws Argentina in the round of 32 after a shaky group stage, and you're telling me it's semifinals or bust. Imagine if they have to win that game in order to meet your lofty expectations of this national team. Don't you think there's a massive sense of responsibility that then comes with pressure, and you're not playing in a pro-USA crowd anymore? You're probably playing in a heavily pro-Argentina, and that can happen with many other countries.
100%, Nico, but that's the only way to go forward, to get past Argentina, is to have that mentality of we beat them or bust. That's how it gets done. There's no other way. Think about the nations that have made it the furthest. I go back to Morocco, the path that they had to get to a semifinal in 2022. You have to play that way. It's die or we move on. That's the mentality. And so when I'm looking at this team, to see them play with that fight, to have that feeling of if we don't make it past this knockout stage, then our careers are over. That's got to be the motive, the motivation to keep going, to push further than they ever have before. So in saying that, you're eventually going to have to come up against an Argentina or an England or France, and these are World Cup favorites. Yet you have to play with that type of inspiration, because ideally, if you're going player for player, they're going to have more quality than you. But we all know quality doesn't win you World Cups for the most part.
It literally does.
You have to get over that hump with everything else, all the other intangibles, when the quality simply isn't there.
I hear your point to an extent, but it literally does. The best teams normally win. With the best players normally win. Just go throughout the history of time. My concern with this, and I'm trying to be positive because it's uplifted, it's the first day, we don't know who we're getting the draw. When you set the bar so high for America to finish in, they've never been to a semi-final. There's more teams than them. There's
Since
more.
1930.
Okay, we're not talking about football.
Since Nigel last watched it.
I don't even consider England 66. The football has changed so far. Yes, that happened, but it's changed so far. There's more games now than have ever been played in a World Cup.
Yeah.
There's more pressure on these players. Again, I understand your point about pressure. That is how you deal with it yourselves. I think to get to a semi-final is anything less than that is poor. I think you're underestimating the fact that not a lot of these American players would get into a Morocco side. They wouldn't get into a lot of these teams. Morocco's best player.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, Troy.
That's better they stay home then.
Is, but
Don't even go to the tour. Stay home. If you feel like you can't beat these teams, there's no point to play.
Okay, the fact is, you haven't. History proves that you haven't. You haven't. We've just. This is the. I get we're excited and we're talking about it. We're talking about a semi-final.
Yeah.
We're talking about a semi-final. Yeah. Again, Morocco have already been to the semi-final. They've been there in recent times. So their next expectation to move on is to go to the final. And you're talking about the players in the American team.
So are you saying it's too big of a jump to come from where you are now to expect?
So for Troy, 2002, South Korea got to a third place game.
Granted.
Turkey. Would you say that those two nations would say?
In my lifetime, they'll never do that again. I think it's a one-off. That's the point.
But the point is, they went from '98 to 2002, and they had to dream. They had to believe.
Oh, yeah,
so for me,
if you're talking about the dream, I totally take that. Dreaming and aspiring to do that. Who's your goal scorer going into this? Who's the guy that's going to get you 5 to 6 goals, which would be fantastic in a World Cup? Who's the goal scorer you go into this as US?
Balogun.
Well, one, you're going to have a number of players chip in, and it might be a set piece. It might be, but not necessarily. But if I had to pick one player who's going to have to score a lot of goals, it's going to be Valérien Balogun. That's your number 9. That's your missing piece. That's when he decided to play for the United States. You're saying, okay, now we have a striker that we can rely on who can create goals and score goals and finish goals. Christian Pulisic is also going to have a say, I think, in terms of scoring goals and being the team's leading goal scorer. So for me, you have the pieces, and you're bringing Pochettino in to say, not only do I have the pieces, I got to pick the right pieces, but I want to push these pieces to be even better pieces, and I think that's what we're hoping to see next summer.
You play the World Cup to win it. The federation hired.
Everyone wants to win it.
Without a doubt, I think that's the aspiration that you have. But as media, as journalists, what is a realistic expectation? I'm more with Nigel, whereas you're in a quarterfinal, and I think that's saying we had a good World Cup
100%.
for the expectations. But these players, Troy, they got to believe that they can beat an Argentina, they can beat a Brazil.
And every player, we've all played, every player thinks they can win. No one goes into a game going, oh, we're going to lose. I take that point. The problem
that's a lie. That's a lie, Troy. Because again, as I say about your mentality.
That is a lie, Troy. Troy, that's a lie.
But I'm saying, I've lost to the FA Cup final, right? We lost 6-0 against the best Man City team I've ever seen. Do you think we all went onto the pitch and went, oh,
no, of course not.
I hope we lose today. We all go on there
but Troy, I bet you a number of you on the inside were saying, we're praying that we can keep this close.
Of course, 100%.
That's the honest truth.
So
that's the honest truth.
That is the honest truth. So you don't think that's going to happen with any of the American players then moving forward in these games? But the expectation should be they're going to get to the semi-final. So you just answered your own question.
The expectations, we have to. Yes, I completely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is we have to set the expectations higher to push this group to know they can't settle that this is the demands from us. If we keep saying, hey,
Charlie,
just get out of the group,
Charlie,
like what is that? What does that say about us if we just say get out of the group?
Yeah. Are you concerned though that there's been no games of real pressure for this build-up to the World Cup, with all the new players that Pochettino has brought in and still not really knowing who the best roster or 11 is yet?
For me, what Pochettino has done is so critical to getting this team to where they need to be next summer, and that is putting pressure on them to fight for spots and to not making it seem that every player's position is already set. The entitlement was ruining this team's potential and the team's ambition because everyone got comfortable. And for Pochettino, he goes, if you guys want to compete in a World Cup and go further than you guys have ever gone before, nobody can be comfortable. And I think once they understood that, now we're starting to see them play better. He also changed the system, which I think has really benefited the group, which makes them a little bit more flexible when they defend and also when they attack. So it's a little bit more, there's fluidity, but there's a little bit of an unpredictability as well, because we've seen this national team look so predictable over the years. How are you going to beat teams if you're so predictable? So I love the fact that Pochettino's come in and said, guys, one, you got to fight to be on this team. Forget about your starting position. Some of you guys won't even be in the squad. Once that came in, once that crept in, we started to see the best. And to Troy, your point, you said the most talented team always wins the World Cup. We could say Brazil should win the World Cup every year because typically they are the most talented team from top to bottom. But if you don't get the right coach and you don't have the right mix of players, it's not about the big names. We could talk about England as well.
Yeah,
how many
100%.
times are they loaded with talent, right? But ultimately, it's the belief within the team. How in sync are they with one another? How much do they play to their strengths, and how much do they take away the opponent's weaknesses?
Fair.
Also, those little moments in a game. You could be out-possessioned 80-20, outshot 20-2, but if you finish your one chance and they finish 0, who moves on? And that can simply be a World Cup game.
Anything is possible, Chuck. We're going to let you go because we're hearing that the draw is going to start very soon. We'll see you in a little bit.
Catch you in a bit, dude.
I believe.
Oh, gosh.
Come on! Grella, let's go! Get in there!
Hang on.
I'm just saying quickly, listen.
Charlie, 1 second. They want to know, what time is the draw actually going to start?
Who knows? I waited outside for an hour and 45 in snow in 20 degrees. My toes are still ice cubes, and you're asking me when the draw is going to happen.
So they kept you all outside for an hour?
Yeah, an hour? An hour? I'm talking 2 hours.
Wait, why are you moaning about cold weather for? Ain't you from Boston?
He wasn't prepared for this.
When I'm out there with no jacket, no gloves, no warmers, the wind's blowing me, the snow's coming down, no one's prepped for that.
Fail to prepare.
Nigel, do you see this?
I'm just saying, fail to
Nigel,
prepare,
you see this?
prepare to fail. That's what you got to remember that, all right? Football sign, fail to prepare, prepare to fail, geezer.
Charlie, thanks so much.
Giza, I got Gambian in my blood, Giza. They don't take that cold weather well, okay?
Charlie, we'll see you soon. Just a reminder, we've got Call It What You Want right after the draw with all the reaction to the latest from the US men's national team. You can see the boys today at 3 o'clock Eastern on the Golazo Network and on the Golazo America YouTube channel. We're hearing that the draw is going to start very soon. So stay with us. We're going to talk pot 1 after this short break. We'll be right back, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. Just a reminder of pot 1. We're almost ready to go for the drawing of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, Nico.
Yeah, absolutely. The pots haven't been drawn, but we're going to keep you guys up to date with everything that's going to happen. There are a couple of teams that we already know what pots they're assigned to. Mexico is in Group A, Canada is in Group B, and the United States is in Group D. So these are the pot 1 teams: Canada, Mexico, the US, Spain, Argentina. France, England, Brazil, Portugal, Netherlands, Belgium, Germany. As we've mentioned time and time again on this show, as we've reiterated since the draw rules have come out, Spain and Argentina will go to opposite sides of the bracket if they are to finish in the same position within their group. As the same applies for France and England, opposite sides of the group, well, because they're the top 4 ranked FIFA nations. Do you guys like this or not? I understand it's kind of playing with destiny that the top 4 ranked FIFA teams are on opposite sides.
Like I said, we discussed it. It favours the top 4, yes, and it's like you said that obviously for the organisers, they want one of the top 4s to meet in the semi-final, but it also does take an element away of teams that nations used to twinkle with that final game because they kind of know the path that's already set. While for these top 4 now, they go into a later stage of competition, which is what they want for numbers, and the business side of football plays a part.
Imagine the reverse of that, right? All the best teams get knocked out early, and then you have a World Cup final between France and whoever, Uzbekistan, right? It's the most watched sporting event in the history of everything. It has to be a big matchup, so I don't mind them seeding the teams a little bit.
But I disagree on that element. I think the World Cup is the World Cup. I think whoever gets in the final, people will watch that.
Yeah, but Nigel, we're seeing the seeding now, so what's the difference between it being seeded in the bracket to it being seeded now?
I mean, the seeding now is definitely favours the top 4 teams,
right.
Yes, but I don't like it. I don't agree with it, because I think if you're going to win, you've got to beat everyone. But for me, the World Cup, if an Uzbekistan or someone gets into the final, that is story that's going to go around the world. Everyone is still going to tune in to watch it.
But you're talking about from a view point of view. I'm just talking about it from a purely competitive standpoint. I just think once you're in now, you've earned your right to be seeded in part 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now let it play out how it plays out.
Yeah.
Let just play out. Don't let the business side, as you said, which is the great part, go, right, we're going to make these 4 going to do this.
Are you okay, Nico?
Yes, I'm okay. Just a couple of my papers fell out, but all good. Listen, if you guys are double screening us, thank you very much, and I recommend you do, as we'll be explaining everything and breaking everything down that's going on during the FIFA World Cup draw. First off, by the way, just out of usual, as has been slated, Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. are going to be drawn first. We already know that. People asking, why is Mexico A1? Why are they already in Group A? Well, because of their World Cup hosts. And they will be the first team to play in the FIFA World Cup. The World Cup opener will be in Estadio Azteca. And, by the way, who will they be playing? It'll be the Pot 3 team. That's already been decided. The first game out of the group for Group A is the 3rd team from Pot 3. So that order has already been decided, something that's been very new as well. Usually that was drawn before. Now it's been randomized for competitive order. So we'll see what ends up happening with Mexico, Canada, and the United States. You guys, out of these 3 host teams, who would you want to draw if you're a Morocco, if you're a Norway?
I don't think that, if you're Morocco or no, I don't honestly think you would I think you'd probably prefer Canada or United States. If you're my honest opinion.
Really, not Mexico.
You won't want to play Mexico at the Azteca. Like, you would not want that. It's a nation that doesn't look great right now, but rich in footballing history and fan base.
Yeah, all right, so the draw has officially begun. Tom Brady is pulling out the ball. The first ball that will be drawn will be... Oh, Brazil, okay. So Brazil is Pot 1. And it'll be drawn. Now we're waiting to see in what group it will be drawn. This is not one of the seeded teams, by the way.
There's my guy.
All right, so in Group C, again, not one of the seeded teams. We're going through the Pot 1 teams.
I would say if he's going this long, we'll be here till 7.
Do you like that Tom Brady's doing it, by the way?
Obviously, he's a Birmingham City owner, so I'm going to say yes.
There we go.
All right, so 4-time winners, Germany.
Germany.
They have potential games. They'll be in Group E. They'll be playing either in Philadelphia or Houston in their first match.
Philly.
All right, we're still waiting for one of those seeded teams, by the way.
Love the live update. Hey, there we go. Got the groups up there.
Nice. Well done, graphics.
Nice
Right.
graphics.
Looks perfect.
The Netherlands, not a seeded team. Netherlands, a couple times finalists. They've never won the World Cup. They're growing to Group F. They'll be playing games in Mexico. They'll be playing either in Monterrey or Dallas in the United States. They also have potential games in Kansas City, Houston, and in Monterrey. So now we're looking for the Group G team. How do we feel about the Netherlands, by the way?
Not sure.
Hit and miss.
Yeah, not sure at the moment. We've got talent in there.
Yeah.
Haven't really. I put Netherlands and Belgium in the same category.
Same 100%. Funny enough.
They've got so much talent. They look great, but we're not sure.
So Belgium is going into Group G, which means that they have games in Seattle, Los Angeles, Vancouver. So now we're still waiting for, there we go, Spain. So Spain is going to Group H, which means that Argentina has to go to Group H or I. Oh, they're in Group H. So Argentina have to go into K or L because of the ranking scenario. Argentina
Ooh.
must go into J, K, or L. They cannot go into Group I.
Explain what that is.
Scaloni.
They have to go into opposite sides of the bracket, right? If they
Because of the
finish
late
first.
stages.
This is the whole
Yeah.
seeding thing. They can't go into Group I, J1, so it's the first available, right? So Argentina goes into Group J. That's how they sort it out. So Argentina will be in Group J, which means Argentina is either playing in Kansas City or San Francisco in their first match. And then other matches in Dallas or Kansas City. Interesting. France. So if France goes Group I, France goes Group I. Right? So where does England go?
Either K or L, no?
K or L, right?
And then Portugal.
It'll have to be K or L, one of the last two, right?
So
Portugal. So that means that England is going to Group L. So Portugal.
So that means then, based off your theory, if they want to get to the top four, let's say these four get to the final semis, it'll be Spain versus France and Argentina, England.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So that means Portugal is in Group K, which means they have matches in Mexico City, Houston, and Group L, which will be England. England is either playing their first match, Troy, in Dallas or in Toronto.
Oof. They better take Toronto because Dallas is going to be hot.
Take that.
But it's
great.
It's a closed stadium in
closed
Dallas.
stadium, yeah.
So would you rather play
Nice.
the first match in Toronto?
Yeah.
No, I prefer to be in Dallas. Again, a big stadium, the heat. I just think you want to be in the biggest stadium.
The heat ain't going to be kind to us English, but well, to some of the
So-
English boys, I'm all right about it.
Troy, your debut game for England, you have to consider a Pot 2 team now. That will be the first game out of the gates, right? So it'll be England against that Pot 2 team. So now you know Group L
Who would we want? I'd say I'd like it Australia.
in Dallas or Toronto.
Socceroos?
Well, I don't know if you want it Australia, mate.
Huh?
I love
I'm
that it's in
excited.
Dallas, though.
Huh?
We've got a question from one of the viewers. I think it's for you, Nico.
Okay.
Let's have a look at it. Is bro getting this information from a fax machine?
Why not have it? Old school, baby. You gotta do this live. Hey, there's nothing. Look. And my notes. Can we get camera 2? Please look at this. This is how I'm getting my World Cup information with scribbled down notes and everything, just so we understand the permutations
it's more
and the
complicated
combinations
than
of
a fax
everything
machine.
happening.
Grella, why don't you go up and give Nico a rest for the Pot 2?
No, I'll leave it to Nico.
Leave it to the expert. Know your
That's
strengths,
coming
Grella. I
up
like that.
in
Play to
just
your
a
strengths.
second. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be back for Pot 2 next.
So here we have the Pot 1 teams from Group A to Group L already sorted in their respective groups. We are awaiting Pot 2 team, and the fax machine is in. Here are the Pot 2 teams that have all of the groups ready to go. Croatia, Morocco, Colombia, Uruguay, Switzerland, Spain, Japan, Senegal, Iran, Korea, Ecuador, Austria, and Australia. The first group drawn will be Mexico's opponent in the second game that they play in Guadalajara. As a reminder, Pot 2 teams will be Mexico's second opponent. We still have to wait until Pot 3 for that third, that team that would play Mexico first in the Azteca. The Pot 3 team, again, will play Mexico first in the Azteca. Well, thanks, Troy.
No problem, mate.
You're back. All right, so who do we want to avoid? Who do we want to avoid in this pot, Nige?
It depends. What nation you're talking about?
I mean,
just in general.
For anybody in general.
I think Morocco for me. Morocco are the main standout ones for me that you do.
Just want to avoid them at all costs.
Morocco or Croatia, would you want to avoid, Troy?
Morocco, for me, I think they've got the more standout players. Again,
and they've got the youth as well, that's the thing.
The likes of Senegal, Austria will be teams you want to avoid as well. They could cause you trouble.
So, just by the way, the South Americans can't play South Americans.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun.
And at max, the Europeans can only play one other European in their group. So, as Shaquille O'Neal pulls out Korea Republic, who was also in Mexico's group in the 2018 World Cup, they'll go into the Group A.
It's a tough game.
As the Pot 2 team.
Yeah, it's a tough game.
So that will be Mexico's second game. It'll be Mexico-Korea in Guadalajara. A fairly accessible game, if you'd like, out of all the pot teams they could have drawn.
It's not bad. It's not going to be easy for them, though. Even with the home field advantage, definitely, yeah.
All right, so this is Canada's last opponent. It'll be Canada against Switzerland in Group B. That last match will be in Toronto. Excuse me, in Vancouver. So Canada goes Toronto, Vancouver, Vancouver. They'll be the last team in Group B. All right, we're waiting.
Shaq just looked massive.
I mean,
he's just so big.
Big boy.
The tiny ball in Shaq's hands, huh?
He is hilarious.
Oh, that's too funny.
Oh, boy.
Goes into Brazil's group.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Oh. And did you see that
All of a sudden already.
See him start smiling.
Yeah.
That's the bit. The confidence within the Moroccan national team is so high that they're not like pulling any faces. They're just smiling like this.
They played against each other in the 1998 World Cup, Brazil and Morocco. Not only that, right after the 2022 World Cup, the very first game that Morocco played at home was against Brazil, and they beat them handedly in a friendly.
Imagine Norway go there now.
Oh, here we go.
Or Italy
So
get in.
here is the
go.
U.S. This would be the U.S.'s second opponent in Seattle.
Blame
We're
Shaq.
waiting to see who it is. It's Australia. The United States will play Australia in Seattle, boys. Grella, how's that?
Layup for the U.S. I mean, that's a great first draw. Listen, take nothing away from the Socceroos. They've always been competitive and good, but they stumbled a little bit through qualifying. They were not so impressive, and this is an amazing draw for the amazing first team to have for the U.S.
This is second team. They would play in Seattle, first team in the group. Yes, understood.
First team we know about.
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely correct. They just played in a friendly where the United States
Recently,
won.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're waiting for Germany's group. In Group E, it's Germany against Ecuador. They were in the 2006 World Cup. This is Germany's first World Cup game. How do we feel about this?
The Germans better come ready for war. I'll tell you that now. Ecuador is a team that a lot of people are sleeping on. When I'm talking about a young, talented team, from back to front, the only thing I think Ecuador need to get better on is a striker. That striker that's going to get them the goals. But everything else in midfield and defence, solid young team that's going to be hard to beat. One of the best midfielders in the world, Caicedo.
And also, this isn't the Germany
Of the
team
old.
of old. Yeah, so.
All right,
game.
correction. They would be the last team that Ecuador would play in the group stage. As mentioned, they were already in the 2006 FIFA World Cup. All right, Netherlands against Japan. The first game in that group for the Netherlands will be against Japan. Japan has become a tricky side, Grella.
Very technical side, for sure. Play through the lines, some unbelievable players in there as well. I think Holland will also favor that draw in the physicality and set pieces and aerial duels. I think that will be a team that they will want to play against.
So Belgium will go up against Iran. In Pod 2, this will be the second team that they play. Belgium against Iran. Iran is a hard-fought side. They have history recently at their World Cup, but it'll go Group G in the team against Belgium. Again, for Belgium,
Shaq.
it's not the most difficult. Now we're waiting for Spain's team from Pot 2. They will be the third team that they will face in the group stage. Spain and Uruguay were in the 2014 FIFA World Cup together, where Uruguay was able to upset Spain.
It's an interesting one, though.
That's a good one.
Uruguay haven't been great, have they, in recent times? So again, it felt like the big loss to the US as well. Felt like they should be better. You don't want to come up against this Spain team. That could be a bit of a slapping. We call that in the UK.
Do you know, sometimes that we look too much into the build-up into it. I think for me as well, you've got to think sometimes as players, like especially the ones playing the highest level, when it gets to this World Cup, there's a big mentality shift that people don't realise. Everything that's happened before sometimes can just be, all right, let's go. And you'll see a different team and different representation when it comes to tournament football.
Well, then we should say that Group A is fine then, because Mexico have been terrible, but it's going to change.
France, Senegal.
It will change.
The first match for both of those teams, France, Senegal in Group I. That is a very difficult matchup for both teams.
France-Senegal, right, was the opening game, right, where Senegal scored first against them?
Yeah.
2002 World Cup.
Yeah, that was
Well
a
done,
very
Grell.
memorable moment for me. Yeah, seeing Senegal go on the counter, they're an unbelievable team. Tough team to play against.
Okay, so the Argentinian team, it's either Austria or Croatia that Argentina is going to face. So it'll be Argentina-Austria.
Layup for Argentina.
Wow.
Austria are good, mate.
They're good, but it's a layup for
Tough
Argentina.
draw for England.
Nico, is that a layup for you?
I think for the Argentinian
Yes.
standard, if you could avoid Croatia, Mexico from Pot 2, you're happy. Of course, you have to go through all of the teams to win a World Cup.
It's amazing to me, right, when we speak about these teams. We look at Austria, who have got a great record, by the way, over this period of time under Ralph Rangnick, and it's changed, and now it's like, it's a layup. But hey, Mexico, who have been terrible, they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
They're going to be okay because of the home support. I'm telling you, man, that 12th man is going to play a part.
Portugal have just drawn Colombia. These two teams have never played against each other. It'll be the third game.
Croatia, England.
Which means that England, Troy, has a match, their first in the World Cup, against Croatia. That is tough.
Yeah, it is tough. I think we beat them. I'm not as up on Croatia as you guys. I think we beat them comfortably, personally. But
Wow, comfortably.
Wow.
Okay, now that's why they don't like the English a
I
lot.
just think because in every single position, we're better than them in every single position.
That's fine and dandy, but it's all about turning up now. I just don't think you can. No, the Croatians you just can't write off like that. No, I think it's a tougher draw.
The last three arguments has been that when we get there, it's going to be completely different. And now we can't write off Croatia.
Yeah, but you're just writing them off. As I say, you're still getting there, but you're just writing them off.
Against England are just better in every position.
As a reminder, Croatia beat England in the 2018 World Cup semi-final, so the rematch will either be in Toronto or Dallas.
Okay.
So Pot 2 is over. Poppy?
Okay, all right, we're going to take a quick break. After the break, we've got Pot 3 coming your way with a couple of debutantes in it as well. Some wild cards. We'll bring you all the teams in Pot 3 and where they're placed so far for the 2026 World Cup.
right, so our World Cup draw coverage continues. These are the Pot 1 teams, the Pot 2 teams sorted. They're not in official order just yet, but just so you start getting an idea of what these groups are starting to look like. The United States, Grella, we were talking in the break that they quite possibly got the easiest of the Pot 2 teams.
Yeah, we don't want to disrespect the teams, but they got the easiest team. Australia, they got the easiest team out of all the Pot 2 teams. I don't see another one that's less difficult to play against. I mean, you could have got Croatia, you could have got Uruguay. There's so many difficult teams there.
Nigel, you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Ecuador. I mean, there's so many difficult teams in Pot 2.
To be honest, out of all the group teams you could have gotten in Group A, if you're Mexico from Pot 2, I would take South Korea.
Yeah, I just don't like that because I think the South Korea have got a high energy team. Obviously, they can match them physically. Again, when we look at Mexico, are we looking into the history and the name and some of the name of the players that they've got? I'm not sure. I
understand what you're saying in that aspect of it, but again, being one of the home nations, hosting nations, that's what I'm going to lean into. It's a different. You talk about pressure; they're going to be under pressure there.
The poll says that Group C is the hardest group so far,
Yes.
which is Brazil and Morocco. Do you boys agree with that?
No question.
Yeah, and then would you say England, Croatia?
France, Senegal, England, Croatia.
I would say Germany, Ecuador. I would say Group E. I'm telling you, there's some good groups.
Yeah,
some
absolutely.
really good groups.
This one's going to really round it out. Pot 3 is going to really round it out.
Group of death scenario.
Yeah.
Brazil, Morocco, Norway could still be a possibility as the Pot 3 teams by Aaron Judge are still being picked. Here's where the restrictions start coming into place. South Africa can fall into the group. So this Pot 2 team for Mexico, this Pot 3 team, just like in the 2010 World Cup, but reverse, the opening match of the FIFA World Cup will be Mexico against South Africa. Again, if you're Mexico, I think I take this.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I just think there's going to be so much pressure on this Mexico team. I'm probably doing the opposite to what Nigel's leaning into. Nigel's leaning into that home support will be horrible for the players to go. I think it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be horrible for these Mexican players to underperform at it.
I mean, it could either go both ways. I think that the Mexican fans are very aware that their team is not where it used to be, and I just feel it's a special occasion out of the World Cup where they can make it good again for them. I just see them being comfortable and happy with this
glass
doing well.
half full.
Yeah.
So the Pot 3 team that Canada is facing is Qatar. Interesting. Again, another favorable team from Pot 3, guys, for Canada. It's matching up with Switzerland. Not an easy team whatsoever, but Canada's group is shaping out to be a little bit more accessible than you could have wished for, right?
Oh.
So Paraguay can't go into Group C because of the restriction with Brazil. So they'll have to go into the United States' group. I would imagine that's how they move over that, right? So it'll be the U.S., Australia. Australia. So it'll be the United States, Paraguay, who they just beat in a friendly, by the way, and then Australia. In the opening match for the United States, it's USA against Paraguay, Grella.
7 wins, 7 draws, 4 losses for Paraguay. That was one of my examples of a team that, you know, kind of in a difficult, obviously, South American qualifying, but are very a beatable side.
So officially, this is a group that the United States should be getting out of. They beat both of these two teams in recent friendlies, Troy.
Based on what Charlie said, they're going to win the whole thing anyway, so I wouldn't be too concerned. No, this is a great group. If you're American, this is a great group.
So Group E has just been drawn in, Ivory Coast has just been drawn into Group E, the reigning African champions, by the way. So it'll be Germany, Ivory Coast, and Ecuador.
Wow.
It's a group with the most parity in it. I will say that. Yeah. Maybe not the group of death because Germany's not the Germany where we always think about. Obviously, 4-time World champion, World Cup champion. That's the group with the most parity. It's not clear who's going to be 1 and 2 in that group right now.
So we're waiting now for Netherlands, Japan, and the third team in this Group F, which is Tunisia. For the Netherlands, I think you take it again. I understand that we've talked about Tunisia on the up. But if you're the Netherlands, considering how other groups are facing out.
So how do people fall back into Group C now, Nico? Will it be the next one that can't play the same group?
Right. So again, we're waiting. They go into pot 3. They can't go into Group C because Morocco and Tunisia are from the same confederation. So they move it over. Now we're still waiting for Brazil and Morocco's next matchup. Right. Egypt cannot go into Brazil and Morocco's group, so we move it on over into Group G. It'll be Belgium, Iran, Morocco. We're still waiting for Morocco's team.
That's again, you talk about parity within a group. That Group G.
Belgium, Egypt, Iran. You like how that's shaping out, Troy?
I do, yeah. Again, I think Belgium have wonderful players and name, but we keep falling short. We've gone past that golden generation moment now. Like, who are they? Iran won't fear anybody, and Egypt, obviously, Mo Salah, this is probably his last World Cup, so huge.
By the way, we still have Norway in all of this. Panama, Algeria, Scotland, Uzbekistan, and Saudi Arabia. Any of these teams, the next team that will be drawn, except for Algeria, will go into Group C with Brazil, Morocco.
Scotland!
Wow. It'll be Brazil, Morocco, Scotland.
Brilliant. Absolutely beautiful.
How come?
I love Scottish fans. I think they throw a party everywhere they go. They're happy. It's going to be great. That is going to be great. Brazil versus Scotland.
That's going to be the best part about it.
The fans are going to be great. It's going to be unbelievable for a World Cup.
I love that group already.
And Scotland will either play their first game in Boston or in MetLife Stadium, New York, New Jersey.
Wow.
That's officially now, though, not the group of death anymore, which it had potential to be.
And correct. And they're now waiting for arrival in that spot. Scotland played Brazil in 1998 in the World Cup in France. The next team then, it goes Spain, Uruguay, and Saudi Arabia. For both Spain and Uruguay, despite Saudi Arabia being that team that beat Argentina in that first game last World Cup, I think it's a rival that you would take if you are the World Cup winners in Spain and Uruguay, right?
Absolutely. I'm just thinking if Norway come out next, this group is...
So
Group I or L?
Yes, because Norway could still be in that group.
Norway can
Norway
go
and L?
into any of the remaining groups, by the way. There's still Panama, there's still Algeria, there's still Uzbekistan from the 4 available, plus Norway. Algeria, it can't go into Group I, it'll go into Argentina's group. Argentina dodges Norway, that is huge. The group will be Argentina, Austria, Algeria, 3 countries that start with A, ironically.
And then Norway cannot go into Group L, so it can't go in with
Norway
England.
is coming to England's group. That's going to be the new group of death. No, it can't.
You've had the moment. You've had a Grella.
Penalty.
Hold up, breaking news. It will go here.
Group K.
Or Group I, right? France, Senegal, Norway, or Portugal, Colombia, Norway.
Becoming a group of
Mr.
death.
Galazzo,
Norway goes
I'm the
is
only
group
one
of
that's
death.
been listening to you, Mr. Galazzo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was distracted.
Uzbekistan will go into the France group.
Yep.
That's fine now.
So Norway
have
can
to
only go into Group K, I
It'll
believe.
go into Group K. Norway will
can
be
only go
here.
into Group
Star
K.
student, Nigel.
Thank you.
This is starting out to be the group of death.
Yes.
Portugal, Colombia, Norway, but you cannot get a team from the playoff in this Group K because there's too many Europeans, right? So they'll get somebody from the playoff, which is easier. But so far, this Group K is starting to shape out to be the most difficult out of all of them.
If they get the
No,
Nico?
they've changed it.
You were wrong.
Uzbekistan
Why
has
can't
gone into
Uzbekistan go over
Portugal,
there?
Colombia. Wow.
the blind leading
you
the blind
can't-
currently.
Panama, okay, well,
The
Panama
fax machine is coming through too
has
slow.
gone
We're
into
trying to
what?
guess.
So if you're
How's
watching on
this work? They
YouTube,
must
we
have-
are
but
all
Panama has to go into L now.
Vibes.
Yeah, Panama has to go into L. England, Panama had England in the 2018 FIFA World Cup where England won 6-0. So, fair group?
Well, hey,
Troy?
I'm confident, so I'm good.
My question is, why didn't Uzbekistan go into France's group?
So,
My question is, why are
Norway
you
is
telling us?
Norway is with France.
Norway is with France.
Oh boy, that's the group of death right now.
France, Senegal, Norway.
Yes, it's the 2 Europeans, isn't it? It's only 2 limit.
Correct.
France, Norway, and then you've got Senegal.
But you can't get a European playoff team now, right? It'll have to be an Interconfederation playoff.
Yeah.
Would that be DR potentially?
Potentially.
Italy going to make out like bandits after all this. They can't get two European teams.
If they get there.
a very interesting group now. France, Senegal, and Norway.
If you're Italy, if you do get through, you want to be
Who's that?
G.
In the camera. Yeah.
So you want to be in the
legends.
group with the US. Italy, the US, Panama and Australia.
Sure.
All right, so
Wow.
shaping.
Careful. The US are favourites to win, you know?
Oh, it's
Last time we played in the
Paraguay.
World Cup, 1-1.
Paraguay in it.
Yeah, oh, that's true.
I must say there are some fascinating groups in it that's going to really make this World Cup great. Really and truly.
Okay, stay with us. More to come after the break. Pot 4 is coming up. There's a couple of question marks around who will be the final teams joining them in March. But we've got a couple of the teams so far, the debutants, and they'll be placed into the groups after this short break.
All right, this is where we stand with the draw as it's happening. Mexico, South Korea, South Africa. The United States has United States, Australia, Paraguay, England, Croatia, Panama. Now we're drawing 4 placeholders from Europe, 2 placeholders from the Interconfederation Playoff, and we still need to get a reasoning as to why Uzbekistan skipped over Group I and went straight to the other group. These are the pot 4 teams. And from here, I guess it's have your pick. You want to avoid the Interconfederation, the European playoff, right? That has Italy. I think everybody wants to avoid Italy.
You want to avoid any of the European sides. Europe is the country that's won the most World Cups, right? So you want to avoid them for sure. That different level. Yeah, it's continent. You're right.
Just let you know. I got your back, bro.
We can't get anything right here today.
Thanks so much if you're still with us on YouTube. Send in your comments, your questions, all the polls. So the pot 4 is about to be drawn now. Obviously, there's still the question marks. March, by the way, Grella, do you like the fact that they've got to wait till March to play the games, or would you rather play them right now?
Waiting until March is like Pandora's box. You don't know. Like, you don't know the rhythm that you have. You don't know the players that you're going to have available. I think it's much more difficult to wait till March, and you don't know what the atmosphere is going to be like. Players are going to be more tired as well at the end of the season.
I would have liked all the teams to have qualified already at this point.
Yeah.
To know
what's what.
Okay, here we go.
So Denmark, it's the Denmark, North Macedonia, Czech Republic, Ireland placeholder into Mexico's group.
Whoever comes through that will fancy their chances. Whoever.
Yeah. It's for those teams.
Yeah, that's a nice group to land in. Again, we've spoken about Mexico not being at that level that we were expecting them, but they should be looking at that group saying, we could probably get through, as will everybody else. It's the parity, it's fantastic.
All right, so now we're waiting for Canada's first rival that will be in Toronto. This is the Italy playoff group. So it's Italy, Northern Ireland, Wales, Bosnia. So if Italy is to qualify to the World Cup, their first match will be in Toronto against Canada.
A lot of Italians.
Loads of Italians
up in Toronto. Yeah, it's a good spot.
True.
Again, for Norway, the curse of competence, right? They win first, 37 goals for. They got to play against France and Senegal. If Italy go through, they get Canada, Switzerland, Qatar. You got to be looking at that as a major opportunity.
I wonder if it was the other way around. Would Gattuso be still moaning if Italy qualified in that group and were facing France?
You know, it's a funny question. I wonder if you asked Italy or Norway if they'd like to switch spots right now. Norway would like to play in the 2 matches.
Well,
and then
Norway's in it and Italy's not, so maybe they wouldn't want to change until you've qualified.
But Norway have a difficult group.
To complete Brazil's group, it'll be Brazil, Morocco, Scotland, and Haiti. Haiti's debut game at the 2026 World Cup will be against Scotland.
Amazing.
And then they will play Brazil, a nation that they have idolized culturally.
Yeah.
Haitians have supported Brazil for so long, and now that they're back at the World Cup, they will play against each other, Nigel.
Amazing, amazing. This is what makes the World Cup such an amazing sporting experience and the biggest in the world. Just that, the storyline between it, Haiti coming back to the World Cup after so many years and having to play away from home.
America couldn't pick a better one.
And by the way, one of those Haiti games could potentially be in Miami. Talk about big immigrant communities.
Yeah.
Miami has a ginormous immigrant community of Haitians. That game could possibly be in Miami, where Brazil is playing, by the way. So Curaçao, because Curaçao is from the same confederation as the United States, they move on over to Group E. So Curaçao, debutants at the World Cup, will be playing against 4-time champions Germany.
Nico, I could be wrong here. Can Australia and New Zealand go in this because they play in different?
Yes.
They can, right?
New Zealand can still potentially
still go
go
in this,
into the United States' group. So if New
Very good.
Zealand comes up
Different
now,
conferences.
Yeah.
That'll be New Zealand versus Australia.
Oh,
Iraq.
so here's the
Bolivia,
thing, Bolivia,
Suriname.
this can't go into the United States' group because of Bolivia. So Bolivia will have to go into, but then also not into Iraq, also not into Iran, also not into H. It would have to go into Group I. It'll have to go into France, Senegal, Norway group.
Nico, you did fantastic, by the way, because I'd have quit 10 minutes ago.
That's got the potential to be the most dangerous group.
Yeah.
Group I is the most difficult group.
Right.
France, Senegal, Norway.
How did FIFA think that this was a simpler way of doing it?
Here's the reasoning why
like it,
Uzbekistan
though.
didn't go into this
Better than the
Group
computer
I
system.
is because of the potential of having that FIFA Interconfederation pathway where you have an Asian. So just to make sure, they moved it over to Group K. If you were confused, because we were confused too, because there wasn't any restriction up to there. So Cape Verde has just been drawn, and they go into the United States' group. Not only here is my opinion as the American on the desk. Why is it in Spain? Why wouldn't it go into the US?
Poppy's got an American passport too.
And Mike Grella.
Oh, excuse
Cape
me. I guess
Verde.
this is Cape Verde.
Yeah, but
Because of
Cape
the
Verde
teams
is...
yet to be drawn, excuse me, Cape Verde has now gone into, where are we going?
H, no?
Has gone into Group H. It's Spain, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, Uruguay. Because of the teams still yet to be drawn, there's a Concacaf team in the Interconfederation Playoff that you want to eliminate.
If you're Spain,
there's-
you're happy.
Spain's odds just went
Spain's
up. They're
happy.
gonna be well rested.
Yeah.
They'll be well rested until the quarterfinal.
So it's Turkey, Romania, Slovakia, and Kosovo. So I would imagine this would be Group D because you don't have any restrictions because it can't go into L. So it'll be, so the playoff, Turkey, Romania, Slovakia, or Kosovo will be in the US's group.
Turkey will be happy.
Turkey.
Yeah.
That's,
We'll be
I mean,
very
Turkey,
happy.
Romania. So now we're waiting for Netherlands, Japan, Tunisia, the team from Pot 4 in there. Ukraine, Sweden, Poland, and Albania. That's
Those
still
are tough
possible.
teams. Those are all tough teams.
Well, they're going Group F then, I'm guessing then, right?
Right? So
Sweden now managed.
So that goes into Group F, the Netherlands,
Graham
Japan, and
Potter.
Tunisia.
West Ham legend.
So again, Ukraine, Sweden, the playoff B, not bad for the Netherlands, Japan, and Tunisia. We still have one more Interconfederation playoff team, New Zealand, Ghana, and Jordan.
Oof, you don't want Ghana.
Jordan.
Jordan can't go into Iran's group. they'll have to go into Argentina's group.
J. Yeah.
That's
Now you're going to go to
extremely easy group.
It's a fantastic group for your
Argentina.
Generous group for Argentina.
Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. How about that for the defending World Cup champions, Grella?
Yeah, fantastic. You can't ask for anything else. You still got to play the games. You still got to get to the World Cup. I think it becomes now for the managers and for the group how well can they rest? How can they get to the later stages and still be fresh as possible?
You got to hope that your players make it to the World Cup.
It'll work out well for Messi though. Obviously, he won't be back until March. He's got some pre-season games to play here now, so he'll be fine.
So Congo DR, Jamaica, New Caledonia has been the team from Pot 4, the playoff group, and they'll have to go into Group K.
Okay.
Because of what's remaining, I would imagine, because Ghana can't go into Group G potentially, so you got to leave that slot open.
Why do I have a feeling Ghana's going to be in England's group?
Hope so.
Or Jamaica.
Just see Ghana be.
Or New Caledonia. They've gone into Group K. So we still have New Zealand and Ghana left in Group G and Group L. One of these two teams will be playing England. And it can't go into Group G. So England will have Ghana. They cannot be in Group G. It'll be England, Croatia, Panama, Ghana. How do you feel about that, Troy?
Again, we spoke about it. Ghana is not the team it was of years ago, but obviously still going to be highly athletic and physical in their approach. I just think when I'm, as an Englishman, looking at those, Papa, you would agree, we're just better than every team, so we should win.
I don't know about Croatia. That's the worry. I think Panama, obviously, being in there, that's more favourable, but I don't know. I'm not feeling as confident.
I don't care what group England is in. We talked about pressure earlier. If England don't win the World Cup, Thomas Tuchel.
We're not talking about the World Cup, we're talking about the group.
I'm just saying the group. It doesn't matter what group they're in, though, because the pressure from England right now, you know, the English media is they expect to win this World Cup.
Do you think they'll win that group?
They should win that group.
Do you think they'll win that group?
The last team, hold on, before we answer, the last team that has been drawn is New Zealand, Belgium, Egypt, Iran, and New Zealand. For Egypt and Iran, looking at this group, drawing New Zealand is preferable. Back to England having Ghana. There's a couple of English-born players on Ghana, by the way, and it hasn't happened often. In fact, only once that a player born outside of that country scores against that country.
That
happened in the 2000. Briolimbolo for
Switzerland. Yes.
Yeah.
See, if you let me talk, I was about to say it. Okay.
But my thing is, it's not about whether this. We're not talking about now. Do we think England can win the World Cup? We're looking at Group L, similarly to what the US will be looking at Group D. That you have to be going into that. Going, we're going to win this group.
Yeah.
You have to.
I don't disagree with that.
Well, what about the group of death, though? Because I think we can all agree which one the group of death is. Group, where's it gone?
Group I.
Yeah. France, Senegal, Norway, and then one more to go in it. That's not. We always said Norway was going to kind of throw a spanner in the works, right?
Yeah, also I think Senegal are a team that people haven't really appreciated just how good that they are. Again, obviously they beat England in the summer. Again, it was a friendly, but they ran all over England. And then for me, I think France, again, we spoke about them at the top of the show, just having that strength and depth in every position. Yeah, that's the standout group of death. But if you're talking more about like the parity, there's about 3 or 4 different groups you can look at and say it'd be difficult to choose who comes second.
Who do you think wins the group of death now? You still feel France is going to win it?
I still feel France will win it. I think France will win it, definitely. You've got tournament experience. Like I said, you've got the balance of youth and experience. That game already with France and Norway is going to be the Mbappe versus Haaland story. So there's so many stories. My thing is, I look at so many of these groups and it's going to be entertaining. Because, you know, that's what I look at. Because it could have been a lot worse when we look at some of these group draws, and we could have been, some of these nations are too strong. But there's a lot of great stories throughout the different groups, which should, in theory, make it competitive.
And because there's a second and a third place for 8 of the 12 teams go through, I think the games will become more interesting as well. For example, you could get Saudi Arabia versus Verdi could be a massive game because they go, right, if we win this, we can...
One of us can get through to the next one, yeah.
I think it keeps that level of competition throughout. But I do just think when you look at the big teams, all of them have had favourable draws except for France.
I really like Group C as well, with Brazil, Morocco,
Yes.
Haiti and Scotland.
Yeah.
What a fun group that's going to be.
Fan base power, that's going to be absolutely sensational. I've got some Scottish friends, and wherever they go, there's a party. Scottish fans are just happy to be at the World Cup. I wouldn't say that there's any real expectations on the nation to do anything but just to compete. All they want to see is their Scottish players compete, and the fans will be so great to have in this nation, and it'll be such a great atmosphere. Scotland versus Brazil again. Do you know how fun that is going to be?
If you look at it from a Brazilian perspective, though, your first game out of the gates is against Morocco. And if you don't win that game, which is possible, by the way, it's crazy to think that Brazil can lose their first game at a World Cup. Obviously, you should be able to progress past Haiti and then Scotland, in theory, right, because you're Brazil. But losing a first game at a World Cup puts you in a precarious situation. It doesn't matter what. The fact that third-place teams go through, obviously, you'd expect Brazil to make it, but it can get shaky from the very beginning for the record-time champions.
But you say that, but didn't Argentina lose their first game against Saudi Arabia?
Look how much of a precarious situation it put them in for that second game against Mexico. Tension through the roof.
Yep. I mean, if you're going to win it, you're going to go for it. And I think right now, when I look at this Brazil side, they are, for me, still the biggest dark horse of this team because of the manager, because of Ancelotti. And he's had a way historically with Brazilian players, getting the best out of it. And now we talk about Esteval as being the face of the Brazilian national team. There's been no talent like him since Neymar. Hopefully he can stay fit all the way. Like I said, we always say these conversations are great, but there's still a long way till the World Cup starts, and anything can happen with these players, and you do want the stars to be there. But I look at that Brazil side as a definite.
Do you say Vinny Jr. is still the face of Brazil, or you think it's Esteval now?
I think it's Esteval now, and that's no disrespect to Vinicius Jr. I think he can play a big part. But when a young player is stepping up and taking penalties ahead of some of these senior players there, that's the enemy.
I can still see a scenario where he doesn't start, though. Esteval. In that first game against Morocco, everyone being fit, I can see a scenario where he doesn't start, where it's Rafinha and it's Vinicius Jr. and you bring him in.
Yeah, you want experience to get the job done, because it's so important to win your first game in tournament football, and that does play a part, because that mental pressure does build. You know, go back to under 21s in the European Championship. When we get there, it's great to qualify, but when you get there, you realise this is the serious nitty gritty, and then all the players know you have to win that first game. Like the managers and coaches let you know, the first game is so important for momentum.
OK, well, we're going to take you over to Washington, D.C. just after this short break and speak to Charlie Davies on the US men's national team and the group that they're in with Australia, Paraguay, and then still one to be determined through the UEFA Path C. Welcome back, everybody. So here is a look at the path for the Stars and Stripes. The US will take on Australia, Paraguay, and then the UEFA winner of Path C. Let's welcome in Charlie Davies from Washington, D.C. from the draw. Chuck, what do you think of this?
This is, of course, no disrespect to the other nations within the US's group, but this is a dream scenario. Are we kidding? when I saw Australia, I said, okay, it's meant to be. It is meant to be. Paraguay, of course, they're a strong South American opponent, but beatable. We should win this group. So I'd say from a U.S. standpoint, it's a pretty good draw.
Charlie, before the show got on, we spoke about how, well, I thought maybe having too easy a group like this, where the expectation rises now, could actually play a problem in the sense that now you don't only just have to win, you have to perform and to be on a level. Do you think this is going to be too easy now?
No, there's no easy group in a World Cup. There's no easy
no
path.
disrespect, it's easy.
Yeah, but we're talking about a World Cup. Every game's going to be at a high level. Every game's going to meet the intensity. You're not going to come in going, oh, this is going to be too easy for us. You still have to take care of business. Now, that being said, you're not playing a Spain or a France or an England, or a Morocco or a Colombia, which they could have played, or Norway. So in that respect, you're saying, hey, there's no better pathway to get to where we want to go. It's right in front of us. Now you're telling me we beat a third-place team if you finish top of the group, which that should be the expectation. Then you beat that. Then you're talking about potentially playing a Belgium to get into a quarterfinal. That's very doable. Of course, Belgium is a strong team, but against the teams that you possibly could get in pot one, yeah, give me Belgium. And so then you're talking about, hey, it's right there in front of you to do something that's never been done before, and you're not having to take on the likes of a Spain and Argentina and France and in England. So I think from that standpoint, again, it is a dream scenario.
The World Cup for the U.S., Chuck, is on the West Coast. Let me give you the path to the final for the United States as you believe. Ready? LA, Seattle, LA, group stage. If the U.S. finishes first in their group, their first game out of the gates in the knockout stage is in the San Francisco Bay Area. That's the round of 32. They win that game, they next go to Seattle to play round of 16. If they win that round of 16 game, then they play in LA once again. Then the semifinal would be in Dallas and the final in New York, New Jersey.
I'll say, so therefore, in order for me to see the U.S. on the East Coast, they got to get to the final at MetLife. Okay, for me, again, just being here, taking it all in, and having hopes that the U.S. could get a favorable draw, phenomenal. Now, you got to take it match by match. We're talking about knockout rounds. I don't think anyone doubts the U.S. is going to get to the knockout rounds with this group. Of course, there's no handouts, there's no freebies. But given this scenario, given that they've hired Mauricio Pochettino and they spent all this money, given that you have players who are playing considerable minutes, making impact plays in Europe in Champions League, you would expect them to get to that match against Belgium at the very minimum, right? Now, we're talking about the expectations placed on this team and Mauricio Pochettino. You hire a Mauricio Pochettino to beat a Belgium with this group of players. So that's where I'm at right now.
I love it, Chuck. Stay with us. We'll be back with you shortly. Let's welcome in Tony Miola and see... Oh, you're going to stay with us, Chuck. Let's welcome in Tony and see what Tony thinks. Tony, are you as happy as Charlie? You played in 3 World Cups for the U.S. men's national team. Are you on cloud 9 too with the straw?
Tony, I don't believe we can hear you, mate.
Tony's on mute. That's a fine for Tony.
Yeah, you know what? Because Tony always mutes himself.
I don't control anything here, Chaz. I'm just sitting in my house, just putting a tie on and getting ready to see this great World Cup draw. But this for me is the start of the World Cup, right? This is when you can really kind of zone in. I know teams got to go through qualifying. We didn't have to do that, right? And we've been sort of projecting, we're going to, hopefully we play this team. Hopefully we play that team, or we don't play this team. Look, we know now. Now you can focus. Of course, we got to wait for that last bit of qualifying to happen to get that third team in. But as far as being excited about this draw, there's no doubt about it. And Charlie said it. You don't want to show disrespect to any team. But truth be told, most teams' World Cups, when you're not Spain and when you're not Argentina, are pretty much made at the draw, right? And I think Mauricio Pochettino, he's not going to tell you, but he's going to go back and go, okay, I think this is a very winnable group as it stands right now. But I will say this. A few months ago, the U.S. did play Turkey, and I know we're in a different position, so let's not discount those European teams like that just yet, right? Very talented sides, but as far as if you would have taken this draw before this whole thing happened to you, there's no doubt about it, you would have signed up for this.
Yeah, Tony, 100% on that regard. My question to Chuck earlier, which he kind of diverted to talk about everything else, was if now, as a US national team and now in media, we're all going to start to get excited for what this could look like, does that add more pressure on the players? Because now you're starting to not only have to win these games, you're going to have to look at it from a performance standpoint as well. Do you think that's a fair question or not?
Well, yeah, it's always a fair question, right, to ask what kind of pressure. Keep in mind, one of the host nations, right? The host nations are always expected to get to the next round. They're always expected to be competitive in the competition. And this particular team, Troy, quite honestly, over the last year, outside of the last 2 months, has not impressed under Mauricio Pochettino. But we are starting to see the light of day with what Mauricio Pochettino's wanted to do with this group, what he wanted to establish. I think I heard Charlie say a little bit earlier something to the effect that it was too easy for some guys, right? It was they thought their positions were set, and now you've got guys that are pushing guys, and we all know, right? Every one of us has been around a dressing room. It's easy when there's no one behind you pushing you, right? But now you're getting ready for a World Cup, and having been part of this 3 times with the U.S. team, and you know the intensity that you have to bring. See, when I played in 90 and 94, and I hate, these guys know, will tell you, I hate talking about my career. Like, we needed this. We needed the national team. We needed to be successful at the World Cup. Truth be told, if Christian Pulisic and this group doesn't get it done at the World Cup, they go back to their club team and everything is fine. Yeah, it'll hurt them a little bit, but it doesn't change their life. For us, it changed our lives. Right. And I think I'm hoping that these guys will understand the magnitude of what it's going to look like 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road in U.S. soccer through this World Cup, because they have an opportunity to do something in America that nobody has ever done. And I know someone's going to ask me, OK, what's a success at the World Cup? I said this in 2002 after the World Cup. I said, now some teams got to get to the semifinal of the World Cup. And this team, in the manner that they're going right now, they're talented enough to do it. And of course, we know the World Cup, it's 1 month where everybody's got to come together and things have to go your way. And you got to get a break here or there if you're the U.S. We all understand that. But they're talented enough to do it. Let's hope that in the end, we get as much out of this group as we possibly can.
Tony, the odds say that Turkey is going to be the 4th team in that group. How beneficial is it to the U.S. that these are 3 teams they played recently and played well against?
Well, the Turkey A team is, I forget the result. We took a little bit of a beating against that team, right? And that's why I said at the beginning, it's not something that we should take lightly. Like these European teams, the one thing we talked about, this expanded World Cup, 48 teams were going to have, there was going to be some rollovers. Concacaf teams don't really benefit from that, right? Because you know you're getting a European team, you know you're getting a South American team. You can't get one of the other 3 that are qualifying out of Concacaf. So there isn't a lot of breaks there. But again, when I look at this group, Paraguay finished 6th in qualifying, 39th ranked team in the world. I don't know how much that means, but of course, the 6th in the group means something, right? Australia, is it going to be easy? No, very organized team. We know that all the time, tough to break down. Actually, the type of team that the U.S. has struggled right against in the recent past. And then if we think it's Turkey, I think they will be the most talented team in this group should they qualify. They are the favorites. But hey, Romania, look, one of our opponents in 1994, we know how many good players they've produced over the years. So maybe we don't count them out. But we're going to get a European team that's not going to be easy.
Question for both of you guys. Again, optimism's high. I feel like I'm bringing the vibe down. I apologise. Is there an area of weakness that you guys are concerned about going in this with the US team at this moment in time?
Well, Troy, I think it's important that you bring balance to this show.
Thank you.
You can't be all pies in the sky and think that it's made for us to get to a semifinal and it's going to be easy peasy. But in saying that, this team, I believe in. I think Mauricio Pochettino is exactly what they needed to raise their level. because I think we probably would have seen more of the same of what we saw in 2022 if another current American coach was to take over this group. They needed somebody that didn't care where they played or who they were. Mauricio Pochettino, having coached Messi and Mbappe, can look at anybody, including Christian Pulisic, and say, I don't care who you are. It's what are you going to bring for me now, and what are you going to do for this team moving forward? So now getting the most out of everybody and putting the guys in the right places, I honestly believe that they can do it. They can move the needle and make this incredible run. This is a group that has, I think it's almost like they're going to be challenged, but not to the point where it can't be, they can't do the impossible. So I think from that standpoint, this is a group that that can dream.
Yeah, Troy, to your question, look, none of this is going to be easy. Absolutely not. This is not going to be easy. But you ask for an expectation. If we think for a minute that this is the best U.S. team we've had, and I'm not a big golden generation guy. I hate the term. I don't use it because I still think you got to do something. If they get to the semifinal of the World Cup, this will be the golden generation. They haven't gotten there yet for me. But I look back in 2002, and I look what we did in that World Cup. And the expectation after that World Cup is that we were going to build from that World Cup. We were going to get better from that World Cup where we get to a quarterfinal. And quite honestly, if the soccer gods were fair, I mean, we took it to Germany for 90 minutes and lost 1-0 somehow in that game. Their goalkeeper stood on their head. We didn't get a break, and that's the way the World Cup goes. Maybe this time around we get the break that we're looking for, and we do get to a semifinal. But make no mistake about it, you're absolutely right. This is not going to be easy. But if you ask me for an expectation of this team, and especially after I see the draw today, I think they need to get to a semifinal.
So true. The U.S. men's national team have to be happy.
Troy, I was going to say, Troy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just in terms of weaknesses within the team, right? Is there a place that they can be strengthened or at least be a little bit more solidified? I look at the back line, so it's a back three.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you have the flexibility with the wing backs and there's depth. When you have Timothy Weah who can play on both sides, you have Weston McKennie who can play on both sides. Serginho Dest, Anthony Robinson, we're hoping he gets back and he's healthy, ready to go come May and June. But Max Arfson and Alex Freeman, there's a number of players that, as of late, because of Mauricio Pochettino and these players that need a World Cup to do well, to kind of excel and fulfill their potential, whereas maybe Serginho Dest, if he doesn't play in this World Cup, if he doesn't do well, it doesn't really do anything for him, like Tony said. But for Freeman and for an Arfson, this could launch their career into a new stratosphere. But ultimately, I think that back three, because Chris Richards is going to be the rock.
Yeah.
Is Tim Ream going to be the same Tim Ream 6 months from now? We know his lack of pace. He never really had pace to begin with, but it was all his IQ and his ball distribution. He's comfortable on the ball, but is he going to be ready to go come June? That's a big question. And then on the right side, is it Miles Robinson? Is it Alex Freeman? Is it Mark McKenzie? So I think the back line for me is probably the weakest part because you really don't have an idea of who the strongest three are together. And then the goalkeeper position. Is it still Matt Freese? Does Matt Turner come back into the picture if he's having standout performances for the New England Revolution? But after those two goalkeepers, I think there's a massive drop-off. So ultimately, I think if we're looking down the spine of the team, the back line and the goalkeeper position are probably the two weakest if you're looking at the team as a whole.
Yeah, still quite a few questions to be answered, as you guys said, but so far so good. Everybody seems happy with the draw. Tony, Chuck, so good to see you. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
See you soon.
Okay, so the US might be happy. Let's see if the other groups are as happy. The US men's national team World Cup draw. Full reaction is coming your way with Charlie and Tony on the Golazo Network YouTube channel, the Golazo America YouTube channel today, 3:15 Eastern. They'll see you then. Stay with us. I will see you after this short break talking the hardest group, the group of death that we think is coming up in this 2026 World Cup. We'll be back in just a second. Welcome back, everybody. So here are the groups from the World Cup draw that we've just seen. In Group A, you've got the host nation, Mexico, South Korea, South Africa, and then the UEFA Path D, the other host nation, Canada, Switzerland, Qatar, and another UEFA Path A. And then obviously we just talked about the US being in a group with Australia, Paraguay, and UEFA Path C. Let's talk about the group of death, though. Are we all in agreement that the group of death is Group I with France, Senegal, Norway, and then the FIFA Path 2, Nigel?
I would have to say yes. That for me is the group of death. I think it's just going to be a real great group, interesting group in the sense of very competitive nations, very talented nations, and it's not going to be easy. A lot of those teams on their given day, if they turn up, are capable of beating one another.
We've got the poll in, and the YouTube viewers agree with us. Group I by 49%, and then Group L just behind that with 25%. Grell, who do you think wins the group of death, if you agree that that is the group of death?
You have to say France is probably level above, and it's up to them to do it. That FIFA Path 2, we're saying it's most likely going to be Iraq, I think, what the odds say. I don't know if there's a clear second. Senegal, Norway, Iraq can be a tough team to play against on their day, but probably between Senegal and Norway. So it's a difficult one. It does feel like there's no group of death a little bit to me. Like Group I looked like it was going to be a group of death and then kind of faded away. The same thing with Group L. Because you have Panama and Ghana at the end, I'm not so sure. So I don't know if there's a clear group of death.
Do you think that's because of the expanded format?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah,
you had more teams, and obviously quality a little bit is going to drop. If I'm a manager in this situation, I'm looking at this, some of these groups, and if I'm like maybe the manager of Argentina or even, I don't know, Brazil or whatever, and I'm saying to myself, how do I manage my guys now? Right? I don't know if the question anymore is getting through the group. We keep saying it, but 8 third-place teams will go through, potentially with 2 or 3 points. So I think you need to look at this now and say, how do we arrive in the later stages of this tournament and be fresher, especially given the heat and the travel that happens in this type of tournament and after the long season a lot of these players had. So that's what I would be my sort of thinking as a manager.
Without a doubt, you're right, especially now that there's an extra game in order to win the World Cup. But I think about, you mentioned Argentina. Argentina, the first game at the World Cup in 2018 was against Iceland. Debutants. Iceland. Mm-hmm. If Argentina chose to manage that game, they tied, by the way. They dropped points and put themselves in a very difficult spot to follow up. Then they lost handily to Croatia, and they had to wait for a dramatic comeback against Nigeria to get back into the knockout stage. I don't know how much you could be playing around, and it's 8 games, right?
But that's the old format as well, though, right? Correct. What you're talking to. So,
True.
So you can effectively win 1 game. You could effectively not win a game and still get through. You could draw 2. And maybe get through as well, depending on how the other things draw.
But you want to finish first to be ordered to play a third-place team. I'd rather finish first and play a team that barely scraped by.
No, I agree with you, but I think to what Grella's point is that you want to have your best and most impactful players fitter and available towards the end. So if you are in Argentina and let's say you've got Algeria, your first game, you've got, okay, do I really need to push like this with Messi for 90 minutes? Do I need to do that? Do I use it as again, his season will just be starting then with the MLS, picking back up in March time, I believe. So maybe let's just get him through this. Can we rest him for this game?
I think it's a risk when you do that still, when it comes to tournament football. I think it's
always a risk.
It's a bigger risk, though, because there's smaller margins for error. It's not domestic league football where you can say, okay, a point's a good point later down the line. It's also that you want to set a certain mindset and presence and certain atmosphere or focus in the camp. Because these players are away from their family, depending on how the different nations do, if their families can be there, you want them focused and no task at hand.
Which
and it
way
really
do you
should be
fall on
a
that?
winning. I feel you've got to go hard.
No, but for the families and because it's always an interesting talking point, isn't it? Like, do you have the home comforts of everybody if you're a team, or do you want to be isolated?
I think your families can be there. On your days off, you can go and see your families, but you want the players to be focused. You want the players to be united more so than anything else. Your family is your teammate. It's if I go down, are you going to pick me up? Or if I have to come off, are you going to come and do the job? That's the family environment you want to create between the players that are there. Your families are there, where it's a day off, you can go see your family, but this is the family that needs to be focused. This is the family that needs to be in tune with one another to say, this is what the focus and the goal is.
Crazy enough, I thought of an anecdote from the 1986 World Cup, which Argentina ends up winning, but I use it because it's an anecdote of the football culture that I grew up understanding. Bilardo, the manager of the 1986 team, said no family. Ruggeri, one of the captains, one of the main center backs of the Argentine national team, received a video from Argentina with his daughters, young daughters. VHS, received a tape. He was watching it in a room, was getting emotional. He had been without his family for weeks. Bilardo walks in and goes, "What are you watching this for?" Ejects the VHS. You watch that when you get back. Imagine how times have changed. But that, and you speak about how that needs to be your family. Forget it, like, your family needs to be the 26 players that you go to the World Cup with.
100%.
Imagine that.
But we veered off into this to talk about, like, the atmosphere you want to set and how you want to manage the team. I'm not saying that you have to rest guys. I'm not saying that you say, okay, Messi doesn't have to play or whatever. You could chop and change however you want. There'll be 5 substitutions, right, in this tournament, like there always is. Maybe you say, okay, we're going to play this way for the first half, really go after this team, get a lead 2-0, and we're going to make 5 changes at halftime. 85 degrees, 90 degrees out. We're going to do 5 changes. Or maybe you won the first 2 games, in the last game you say, okay, these guys are going to play a half, these other guys are going to play another half. I mean, I think if it's something that you can get down to a little bit more of a science, especially if you're one of the bigger teams, I think it's something you could take advantage of. In the end, when Croatia lost, when they went deep into the tournament, it's because they went to 2 games back-to-back extra time. Right? When you have to play extra time in these tournaments, you're playing an extra 20 minutes or whatever, maybe extra 30 minutes, excuse me, and then you go into penalties. It's 90 degrees out. So as an older group in Croatia, they felt it. They lost that final because they were exhausted when they got to the end of it, and they played with almost the same 11 players. They didn't have a lot of options. So it's something I think that's important, especially in this format, something you can take advantage of.
All open-air stadiums, by the way. The 2 semifinals will be in closed stadiums.
Just before we go to break, let's just quickly mention Group C again, because this is the fun group, the group of vibes, isn't it? And what about Haiti, though? Because we haven't really spoke about them in this group. It's Brazil, Morocco, Scotland. What a qualifying process it was for Haiti to get to this position, Nico.
I mean, it's wild to think that Haiti was even close to qualifying to the World Cup. The political turmoil happening in the country that hasn't allowed this national team to play at home for the last 5 years, trying to find their home away from home, be competitive, reach out to the diaspora of players that have left the country forcibly. The gangs have taken control of the streets. The president was assassinated, for God's sakes. Like, talk about unrest. And then all of the natural disasters, all of these trials and tribulations that the people of Haiti have had to get over, and yet their team still qualifies for the World Cup. I mean, speak about resilience and the possibility that they get a game in Miami. I hope they do, because we'll see the full Haitian carnival on display.
And this is what I like to say, because everything Nico said is fantastic there, and it's so well said and well put. And this is what I go to Troy about sometimes. You think about the mindset. Think about what these Haiti players are going to be like going into a World Cup. We talk about pressure. Look at the real-life experiences of what they're going through, and what their family members have had to go through, what they've had to deal to go through. And then now they're at World Cup, that's not going to be pressure for them. That is going to be a nothing to lose. And that's why I always say sometimes you can't really think or, you know, give no opportunity or chance for these smaller nations, because you don't know the journey of what these players have been through. And they don't look at Brazil as like, oh, my God, it's Brazil. It's, you know, we're happy to be here. No, they're going to want to go out there and play, and anything can happen.
The captain of the team in the huddle right before the last game to qualify to the World Cup told the players, everyone back home has at best $7. They would leave that at our feet for us to qualify to the World Cup.
Puts into perspective, doesn't it? I think for the neutral fan, everybody is cheering for Haiti to have some success in the World Cup. Stay with us after the break. Speaking of success, we'll talk about the reigning World Cup champions, Argentina, and the group that they fall in with, Austria, Algeria, and Jordan, just after this short break. Welcome back, everybody, to our coverage of the World Cup draw. Just a reminder of all of the groups. We were just talking earlier about England, Croatia, Panama, Ghana. We'll talk about them in just a second. Brazil, Morocco, Scotland and Haiti. Then in Group H, you've got Spain, Uruguay, Saudi Arabia and Cape Verde. What about Group J, though, with Argentina, Austria, Algeria and Jordan? Speaking of teams that have kind of fallen into groups where they'll feel happy with the situation, like the US men's national team, as Nico said, Charlie and Tony Miola. The poll on YouTube is the easiest group. The viewer poll comes in at 36% with that Group J. Do you agree with that, Troy?
Yes.
So the Argentina group?
I probably would. I'm just having a quick glance everywhere else. Yeah, I think so. I think that's a fair assessment. I think when you look at the other teams and the other groups, you could probably make an argument. Again, I would probably say England had a good, easy group as well, but I know that'll set people off, so I don't want to do that today, Grella.
Be careful, Troy. Be very careful when it comes to talking about England.
If you're England, would you swap groups with Argentina? Maybe that's a better way to think about it.
No.
Yeah.
You would?
Complacency. Complacency would settle in sometimes. You've got to be careful with football players, because sometimes you go into it, you think, oh, it's going to be easy. Yeah, OK, on paper it looks easy, but it's a World Cup. If you're not ready to compete and do the basics, imagine a coach can only do so much. Once you cross that white line, as you all know, you got to do it. And sometimes you worry about complacency. Sometimes you want a bit of a challenge so these players can actually raise their game and not get
I understand what you're saying, but you would rather you would switch with Argentina, 100%. You'd rather play Austria.
I would, as an
Jordan.
England fan.
Jordan's making their first appearance. They're plus 75,000 to win this thing.
75,000?
You put $100 on it, you make 75,000.
I understand what you said, but again, it's the arrogance of the players. It's where these players and these nations players have been. That's what I'm focusing on. And it's always been a problem with England, because they do well against the bigger nations, but smaller nations that English fans think, oh, we're going to walk through them, they struggle tremendously. So again, that's what you want. I think for Argentina, it's great, and I've got to give credit to Lionel Scaloni, because I talked to Nico quite a bit about it. And Scaloni, what he's done with the Argentine side is he's made all the players, take Messi out of it, no one's comfortable in that Argentine side. He has brought so many players through, so many young players have come and been tried out, so many people, and he sees about the attitude and togetherness. We've talked about Garnacho coming in, and Garnacho hasn't been back in still, and he's still at Chelsea. You'd think that, oh, he's at Chelsea.
You can see why, though, in that
Yes,
regard.
you could see why. But again, you've got to give credit to the manager, because he sees that. He doesn't want that kind of maybe character around what he's built. And one thing I admire about the Argentine side is, again, I've said it to Nico so many times, the togetherness. When you watch this Argentine side play, when one player goes down, they're like a pack of wolves, a pack of dogs. They come and back their teammate, they help them. They're really fighting together. And that is all because of what Scaloni's implemented.
Do you not feel that way about England?
I think England still have a way to go when it comes to that team togetherness. The Argentines, for me, are one of the nations I've seen that have it. I would say they have it the best, the togetherness. Forget the Messi.
Can I ask you a question,
togetherness
Nico, in regards to that? Obviously, I haven't been to Argentina, but it does feel to me that everyone understands their role and responsibility as what it means to play for the national team, because you are a reflection of home, of the people there. With England, I get frustrated sometimes because we put these players on a pedestal, and at times it's like us as fans, a part of England, we go, we're as good as our team. Whereas I think the team represents the fact that us in Argentina, we fight together, we are together, we're the underdog.
Yeah.
And out of that will come the greatness of us, whatever that may be.
I think that's how culture in Argentina transcends into football and vice versa, right? A lot of Argentines look at this national team and they look at that dogfight that they have in them, and you feel like you're represented by those players on the field. And you talk about the togetherness. I said it on Morning Footy, I'll say it here again. This team is a goon squad. You want to go toe-for-toe tactically? We'll do it. You want to go toe-for-toe physically? We'll do it. You want to get into a scrap? They're down to scrap. And they'll defend their players and their brothers at all costs. Yeah. But the togetherness doesn't stop there. The media's on board, which in many countries it isn't. And the fans are on board. How much bickering have I heard, to use England as an example? Jude's got to be in the squad. Jude doesn't have to be in the squad. He doesn't play. He doesn't play.
That's going to be our biggest problem.
And there's a lot of clash and there's a lot of noise on the outside that might be mixed, positive and negative. And you have to deal with that if you're a national team. In Argentina, it's all go. We're all supporting this national.
Grella, are you going to
admire it or
mention the
not,
referees again?
I was just gonna
As
say,
part of this all-go system?
No, I think it's a great point.
whether you admire it or not, I think what Argentina has created is this culture of us against the world. And that is exactly how it is. When I watch their team play, it's us against the world. And they know that they've got big players, but they still support them. And as a team, they are together. And it's something that, you know, Troy, we say all the time when watching Premier League games, you watch some of these players line up. It's always the internationals who are hugging each other, embracing each other beforehand. The England players play together for England, but they don't really embrace each other. So that all plays a part when it comes to international football. And I admire them. I really admire them.
It's important to note that the best competition in the world is probably the UEFA Champions League when you talk about the level, the quality of the teams and the players, and they spend every single day together, every single week together. So you would imagine that the organizations of the team, the way they want to play in different modes and different is higher than what the World Cup is. But there's nothing that matches the World Cup in like when a team sense of pride when you put the shirt on, the national anthems, right? How all of us in the room have gotten emotional over a national anthem, or even sometimes not your national anthem, watching two other teams, like Haiti against Scotland, watching those sets of players, what it means to them to be on that pitch. So going back to my original point, it's, of course, quality wins and it's about the football, but it's about the group. More importantly, because the group is not together all the time, so you're not going to play the best level of football. You're not going to be the most organized you've ever been, right? There's going to be players that play in Real Madrid and Barcelona and Man City and Arsenal that are way more organized because they play together every single week, week in and week out. This is about the group. You need 15 to 20 guys that really want to play for each other, play for the country. They understand what it means. That's the most important thing. That's what Argentina has. A couple other countries have that as well. But that's more important than the football at times in this competition in particular.
Is this going to be a special one as well, Troy, with Leo Messi? Do you think this is going to be his last World Cup?
I think so. I think it'd be very difficult to see him 4 years from now being able... Because these guys, when they've been so good, it's not just about taking part. They want to be able to put the best version of themselves forward. I don't see a scenario where Lionel Messi's coming off the bench for Argentina in 4 years. I think they want to go out on their timings. I wouldn't be surprised, a little bit of like a take, if he does it just before the World Cup.
He announces it?
Yeah, because Ronaldo's already done it. It's like, OK, you have your moment, and then people will start talking about, oh, by the way, this is my last one as well. And own it and take all of the spotlight because he deserves it.
And not only that, for me,
What was that, mate?
It's strange that he's being so incredibly ambiguous about whether he's going to play or not at the World Cup. I think there is going to be some sort of announcement. Messi's got to go to the World Cup. Messi's fit. He looks good. He looks sharp.
It looks really good.
Can you see him do 4 more? Like 4 more years?
No, I
think this will be his last one.
Yeah.
But on his terms.
OK, just a reminder then of all the groups that we have got in the 2026 FIFA World Cup so far. And we're going to talk more about England, Croatia, Panama and Ghana just after this short break. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. So Group L has England, Croatia, Panama and Ghana. Troy, you were just talking, saying it's pretty favourable, you think, for England. What kind of state is England in right now, though? Do you feel confident that this finally could be the Three Lions year?
No, I don't feel confident in them winning the whole thing. I think they're confident in this. I think I'm confident in saying the expectation should be semi-finals. I think that's a fair assessment because we've done that in the last couple of major tournaments. I still think France, Spain, Argentina, I would argue, have got better teams than us. The argument is still going to be who's the number 10, who's the main person. Is it Cole Palmer, is it Jude Bellingham, is it Phil Foden?
Who is it for you?
For me, it's always going to be Jude, for me, because I think he gives you more. But again, it's one of these things. Again, it's really interesting, right? We have this talk, we had Charlie on and saying that Mauricio Pochettino's come in and this is where we expect. So if we use off the same logic, England should win it, right? Because we've got Thomas Tuchel and he's a winner. He's used to winning and we've got the players. I just think our problem will always come up against not having that level of competition to compete with the likes of Spain, France and Argentina in the key moments. We had a moment where we played Italy. We should have beat Italy in the Euro final a few years back. Now we should have beat them. We go 1-0 up and we go defensive. We go backwards. And I think with Thomas Tuchel, we should go on the front foot and be more front-footed.
But you think we'll see that with Tuchel, right?
I
More
think
than
so.
Gareth
I think he's
Southgate?
ruthless. I think he's ruthless and I think he wants to deliver. But again, if we're talking right now, am I going to put my house on England to win it now? I have no history of saying they can win it. But am I confident as an English fan to say that we'll go really deep in the competition? 100%.
The attitude back in England and the press is basically we have to win it. That's the reason why they brought Thomas Tuchel in there. If he doesn't win the World Cup, it's a failure. When you look at, like Troy says, we've shown great progression in other tournaments getting there. But now the criticism has always been we've not made it over that final hurdle. This is why Thomas Tuchel were brought in here to now get us over that final hurdle now, because I think talent-wise we're there. It's always the top teams that we do struggle against, the likes of the Spains when it comes to these teams. But it's been in-game decisions and it's been negativity. And on to add to that as well is the English press don't help themselves because there is an arrogance about themselves. Oh, we've got the best players, we've got this. And you look at the situation now with Jude Bellingham and that situation, who's going to play number 10, who's not. Half of the media wants him to play, half of the media don't want him to play. And Morgan Rogers is doing well. But what I like about Thomas Tuchel is this. This is my decision. He's standing firm. He's not mincing his words. He's showing us what he is. I think if you go into this tournament, as great as Jude is, and I like Jude a lot, I would not be surprised if Morgan Rogers continues the form that he's doing. He starts as England's number 10. And
so you don't think Thomas Tuchel's as influenced by the English media as maybe Gareth Southgate was?
Yes, Gareth Southgate was. And there's always been this conversation with the English media when you play for the big clubs and you get the big club bias, which has always been a part of it. And then, like we just had a discussion about Argentina, there isn't a togetherness like the Argentines have. So for me, I don't think Thomas Tuchel really cares, really and truly. He's been brought in there in the short.
He knows what
he's got to do. He's got to do his job. He's going to make the tough decisions and doesn't care about how it feels.
If they don't win the World Cup, he's not there after the situation.
Yeah.
He knows that. That's why the contract length was determined. It's only if he wins it, then obviously they'll extend. I think your take on the media is an interesting one. I think if you look everywhere, it is all about being in Argentina. If Argentina underperform, pressure comes from the media, right? England historically have underperformed.
Yeah.
So there is always pressure because we think, English media, we've got the best league in the world in the Premier League. We've got loads of our players playing in this league. So 1 + 1 should equal we should have the best national team. Unfortunately, football and sport doesn't work like that. So I think the reason there is a split is because it's that. There's 50% of people that can go, right, we understand, we've been there, it's nuanced. Just because you've got the best players doesn't always necessarily mean you've got to win.
Do you think, Troy, though, that this is the best for... Because we've talked about England's golden generation for quite a while now, haven't we?
But tactically, we were behind.
This could be Harry Kane's last World Cup. You never know. And so if this team is better than what they were in the Qatar World Cup, is the expectation surely not higher with Thomas Tuchel, a player that likes to play attacking football?
The realistic approach is this team better than it was?
Do you think it is?
I don't know.
I feel we've got a bigger pool. I do. And when I look at the golden generation, for me, the golden generation was never together like this new generation of England's players are. That's a guaranteed fact. You know, I had little experience of going in to the senior national side, and from leaving the 21s to go to the seniors, it was like night and day difference. The 21s, we were like this. The senior side, we saw certain things that, for me, were a lot different and not as together as the 21s. And Stevie Gerrard, part of the golden generation himself, recently came out and said some harsh words about the golden generation.
Even Beckham,
you know, prima donnas,
right?
and they actually came and told the truth of what people said and what people been in the England system have known. Because even from young, it's a north, east, south divide when you try to play for England schoolboys. So it's never really been, you're playing for England, let's all be together, we're one, we're fighting for the same cause. There's always been that divide. I think it's the most talented big pool of players we've got, where there is still a conversation of, will Phil Foden make the squad or will he not? He hasn't been performing as much. Thomas Tuchel's laid out to say, if you're not playing for your team, you're not going to get there. Miles Lewis-Skelly, will he make, like, there's the talent is there. It's the mindset that needs to change. It's the in-game management that's caused us in past tournaments where we haven't got over that hurdle. Thomas Tuchel is something different that we've not had when it comes to that for England.
I understand the narrative. England has to win the World Cup.
That's it.
Simple,
If they don't,
right?
it's a failure.
My question is, how much does the desperation of past failures, because England hasn't won anything since 1966, Euro finals, World Cup semi-finals, Euro finals, and no trophy to vouch for this incredible quality that you have domestically. Every single England generation is the golden generation because there is quality from the goalkeeper to the center forward and with depth. So how much does that desperation play into a factor of pressure onto the national team in order to deliver?
It's huge. That fundamentally is it. Again, we could go back and forth with every nation. How much desperation is there for the Italians to get to the tournament? It's just as much. The pressure is just as much. Depends on who you're talking about. But every nation wants their team to be successful. We have been a level of success, which has been that we are always there, we're always competing. Can we get over the hump will always be the question.
Yeah.
It's very similar to what we were talking about with Arsenal recently. Yes, they're great, but they haven't won anything yet. So there's like a cynical part of me that is like, can I make an argument that we can win this? Absolutely. I could go through players, I could go through depth charts, I could do everything. Cynical part of me says, I have never seen us win in my lifetime.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, in the most difficult moment, right, against France, Argentina, even Brazil, some of these all those other teams have won, and they've won recently. They have a different swag to them, right? England, on paper, it looks amazing. And great team, great manager, great everything, but they haven't won. They don't have that swag when it comes to that little last moment that we can't put on a football sheet, we can't put it on a stat sheet, we can't put it in a tactical board. They're missing that little thing in the biggest of moments. And when those other teams are there that have won it, Argentina 3 World Cups, Germany 4 World Cups, Italy 4 World Cups, Brazil 5 World Cups, Spain obviously play everyone off the pitch and have recently won. When you start to talk about England with those boys, then all of a sudden they become not as scary.
Well, I'll tell you, for me, I always say this: if you shut up and listen more, you learn a lot more. And when you look at Thomas Tuchel...
Have you tried it?
I'm not even finishing my thought. I'm not even finishing.
911, there's a body on set. There's a body on set.
It was really good, but I'm not even saying my point.
Go on. Finish your thought.
I look at Thomas Tuchel and I say, what's the message he's trying to say?
It has a pulse, guys. It has a pulse.
The biggest message that he's putting out there, like Grella said and Troy said, we've got players, on paper it looks great. It's the team dynamic. And he keeps on harping on so much about the team togetherness, even the players that are not playing, having good players and good individuals in the building around the place, that when the starting lineup goes out there, that they're still supporting. That is the message he's put out a lot when it comes to this England side. It's about the team. And now we're seeing a lot more team performances, more so based than just the individual. And you are definitely going to get it one day.
It's the same old story, isn't it, though, with England? I feel like it's happening again. We get our hopes up. We make it all the way to the final. Hopefully this year is different for England fans. Stay with us. We're going to give you our predictions for the World Cup in just a second. We'll be right back, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. So here is what the World Cup draw looks like. You've got some really interesting groups. The host nations find themselves in Group A, B and D with Mexico, Canada, the US. Group C, what a fun group. That's going to be Brazil, Morocco, Scotland and Haiti. Group F, you've got the Netherlands, Japan, Tunisia, and still a lot to be decided, obviously, with the remaining places that will be decided in March with the playoffs for UEFA. And then, obviously, through the FIFA paths as well. You've got England in Group L with Croatia, Panama and Ghana. Speaking of England, let's go over. Are you okay, Nigel? You're facing the wrong way. Yeah, are you still upset?
You've rattled it.
He is, I have. We're almost there. Hang in there, Nige. Hannah, how are you? You're over in DC.
Yes.
What's the last couple of hours been like?
Honestly, Poppy, it's been manic. I don't even know what I'm thinking right now because we just went up to the mix zone. I think Charlie got an interview with Pochettino. It's just chaos. Like, there's cameras everywhere, as you can see behind me. There's so many people trying to get the story, trying to meet the people who are inside the actual draw, the people who are part of the federations. We all watched the draw just inside this room behind us on a huge screen. And so, yeah, when everyone comes out from who's inside the Kennedy Centre to get the story, to get the first kind of glimpse of what it was like, everyone's trying to be doing that. So it's been very busy, very chaotic, but a great day.
Hannah, what was the biggest moment for you at the draw?
I really enjoyed the whole Rio Ferdinand not knowing how the draw actually works and him trying to not mess it up. I really enjoyed, like, the school kids trying to teach him how it works, because I think it was really helpful as well, because it can get so complicated, especially when it's like, well, now we're not going to Group I, we're going to Group D, those sorts of things that he had to kind of work his way around. So I really enjoyed that, just like making fun of it. I loved the performances as well. So it was great. It was breathtaking, some of the performances, especially the first couple of ones. So no, it was an amazing experience.
You should have watched our show if you wanted to see some confusion. We were all over the place. And then at the end of it, Poppy ended Nigel.
It gets so confusing. So when we saw the school kids kind of take you through it and dumb it down, it was really good.
Hannah, who's the most famous person you got a picture with or anything or seen there today?
Oh gosh, I don't know, Nigel. I haven't even been able to take any photos because I've been so panicked of what's been going on and all the information. I haven't taken hardly any photos.
Hannah, could you tell us about that great story you
US...
told us about Just?
Pardon? Say that again?
Could you tell us that great story you told us about in the break?
You forgot to recognise someone you were speaking to.
Oh yeah, I may have met a US soccer really important person last night. And I went up to him and I said, I recognise you. And he's probably one of the most important people in US soccer at this moment. And he just looked at me like, what is this girl talking about? So that was a bit of a weird moment. But I did take a photo of him, Nigel. But yeah, it's been really good.
Are you confident?
I told you that story.
If Poland get through, are you confident where they land that you can actually have an impact in this World Cup?
If Poland, did you say? Sorry, Troy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got my sheet up here. If Poland get through, they've got Netherlands, Japan and Tunisia. So, yeah, when that was drawn, I'm pretty confident. Obviously, they have to make it through the playoff spots first. But I think that's a good group to maybe get a top 2 spot. So I'm confident with that group. I like the sound of it so far.
So you're going to get us some free tickets through your brother Matty, or we're going to have to pay for our own tickets?
Nigel. Every time I see you, you're trying to ask for freebies, free golf clubs, free World Cup tickets. I mean, I'm not a miracle worker.
Hey, you should see what he does to the fridge every time he leaves after work. he takes everything out of the fridge.
Nigel, carry yourself off. You're done for the day now.
Hannah, I know your other allegiances to your birth country. Simple question. Is it coming home?
It could be coming home. Let me pull up my sheet, because I can't even remember who England have got, if I'm being honest. England, here we go. Croatia, Ghana, Panama. I like that group. Croatia's going to be a tough one, though, isn't it? But I like the fact of it coming home. I think this year could be the year that we finally could get it done.
Hannah, I really hope so. Fingers crossed. Good to see you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, everybody. See you later.
See you later. Okay, predictions then, boys. Shall we go? Grell, who have you got?
I've got no friends in this.
What have I got? What, winning it?
Winning. Let's do predictions.
Brazil.
To win and dark horse.
Brazil. Carlo Ancelotti, a very talented group. He doesn't have to do much organizing. Guys that want to play against with each other. I like Brazil to surprise everybody this tournament.
How funny, that's your dark horse, isn't it, Nige? Grella's
Yes.
favourite is a dark horse for you.
That's not a bad pick. I go for France to win it and Brazil are my dark horse.
Grell, who's your dark horse, by the way, just to round out your picks?
Dark horse to win it? Italy.
What?
Italy. Sorry, they're saying that Brazil doesn't count as a dark horse either. I tried to tell him in the break, but he
Brazil
said no.
is a dark horse because if you look in recent
Dark
World Cups,
horse.
they have not been nowhere near the Brazil. that we've
Hold
seen.
on 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
We are all
Italy are odds favorite to get into the tournament with the group they have. They have Northern Ireland.
Yep.
Then they have to play Wales or Bosnia.
Okay.
They get into that group. Canada, Switzerland, Qatar.
Yeah.
They're getting out of that group, especially if 3 teams are getting out.
Yeah.
You don't want to play Italy in knockout stage football.
Yeah.
And by the way, here they are right here,
Hey.
plus 3,300. So they are a dark
Can I
horse.
tell you something?
And I like them.
I agree with you guys. 9 World Cups between your 2 dark horses over there.
Can I just say, Grella?
I said Brazil.
nine
Hold on.
World Cups.
I said Brazil to win it.
No, hang on,
No,
Grella.
I didn't say
It was
dark
his
horse.
dark horse was
Yeah.
Brazil. Your dark horse was Italy. Combine your 2 dark horses, you have 9 World Cups between the 2.
Plus 3,300 is a dark horse.
9 World. Forget about.
Hang on.
Forget about
That's like when Serena Williams plays first round of the U.S.
I
Open.
said to you, Grella, at the beginning of the show, I'll give you, if I gave you $1 million to Italy making it or not,
This is
you
what I was
said
just about to bring up.
no.
Yeah, that's me from a
So-
personal.
No, don't try and change it now. Don't try.
now you're
Have
reverse
that
jinx
same
it.
energy.
Trying to reverse jinx it. But yeah, dark horse, if they do get through, I think they're
Just
being
stop now or losing. Troy, go on, have a go, mate.
Who do you have?
It's done. I'm done.
France?
He stepped out.
I'm gonna go. I think Spain are favourites. Dark horse to win it. Let's go.
Pick a legit dark horse too.
Yeah, let's just have some fun with it.
England.
I'm gonna bet you now because of that comment, $1,000 for charity, that Italy don't get to this point.
They don't get to the
Can
tournament.
you just pick a dark horse and leave Italy out of this?
I'm
He's
gonna go
never gonna pay
Morocco.
you, by the way.
Morocco. Nice.
All right. Okay, nice. Morocco, the dark horse. Nico, what about you?
For me, Argentina to win it, and if I had to pick a dark horse, I would have to pick a team that has never won the World Cup before. To be the dark horse. Dark horse doesn't necessarily mean you win the tournament, right?
Yeah, it means...
Dark horse, a
okay,
nice
yeah.
little cheeky run to mix things
I'm
up.
happy with Morocco.
Jesus Christ.
Ecuador.
Thank you. Good one. That's
Well
a good one. I
done.
like that one.
I'm going to go for England to win. I can't not because I'm going with my heart again. And for a dark horse...
Germany.
No, I'm actually going to go with Spain for my dark horse. Is that allowed? No, I really don't know for the dark horse. I think I'm with you with Morocco. I'd love to see Scotland, so I'm going to say them. I'm going to bet with my heart and say England to win it, Scotland as a dark
What
horse.
about the U.S.? Could be a dark horse.
It's true.
Yeah,
Okay,
be careful, don't take that passport off you.
they can't now, but they could take your green card. Okay, Group A, B, and D have got the host nations. If we're going to predict who's going to get the furthest of the host nations, who are we going to go with?
USA.
The U.S., yeah, the U.S. for sure. I think they got a really good draw. Mexico's had their own struggles. Canada, good with the ball, pressing the ball, going quick, but defensively, not so sure.
The U.S.
Have the most.
needs to win that first game against Paraguay. It's not going to be the Paraguay team that they played in the friendly. It's going to be a much more dogged, warrior-like Paraguay that will scrap to the last bit.
With a huge support as well. There's
Massive.
going to be a massive Paraguay support base there.
And just UEFA Path C is Turkey. So out of the gates, I'm not negotiating anything. It's got to be a victory for the United States if the World Cup is going to go right against Paraguay in match day 1.
I'm going to go out of limb. I'm going to go with Group A. I'm going to go with Mexico to go the furthest then.
Mexico?
Yep.
Okay, nice. All right, 188 days to go until the World Cup kicks off on home soil. Just a reminder, call it what you want. It's coming up on the Golazo Network for you after this short break. You could also watch it on the Golazo America YouTube channel as well with Jimmy Conrad, Charlie Davies, who's in Washington, D.C. And how about that Tony Meola picture? I love seeing Tony's pictures. 3-time World Cup contender with the US. And just a reminder as well, Golazo Matchday is coming up with all the reaction on Saturday, 12 o'clock Eastern on the Golazo Network and on our YouTube channel as well. We'll see you then, everybody. Goodbye for now.